don't like that color. Hang on. Setting. Yo, what's up, Smelly? How's it going? I'm sorry, I know I'm a little late, but I wanted to add a thumbnail to this, I guess. And yeah, I know. Okay. But I've got a lot of thoughts. Wait, let me do user's preference. Yeah, I got the cut. Got it. Hair's a little wet. I just took a shower, but yeah. Yeah, I've got a lot of thoughts. A lot I want to talk about. I have some takes that I haven't really heard anybody else say regarding Clavicular. Yeah, extra fresh. Yeah. Only for you, baby. Kisses. No, but for real. I have some okay, all right, calm down now. I have some takes that I haven't heard anybody else really have on this Clavicular stuff. I think here, let me start with this before we get into it. As the title suggests, I think it's way deeper than people at this point in time really understand. I think there's a lot going on with Clavicular, but there are a lot of elements. There's stuff related to teal, politics in general, but I think what Clav is doing is really, it sort of like transcends all of that, and it really reveals a lot about the human condition. I know that sounds kind of loaded, but it's so much more than just like internet e-drama. And for all the people that say like Clav is gay, if you like Clav or if you think this is interesting, you're gay, you're not gonna fucking make it. I'm gonna start there. You're an idiot. You're an idiot, or you're coping, because this really is some fascinating shit, and we'll get into it in a minute. But I just want to start there. It's like, not only are there there's a clear influence campaign that's going on, that's teal connected, that's trying to like pull Clav into his sphere of influence. But what Clav is doing and the way this whole thing is like changing the conversation and really raising this like consciousness, this social consciousness to like not only female hypergamy, but hierarchy in general. And that's why I think Clav is inherently political. But we'll get into that in a minute. I'm just sort of briefly outlining what I want to talk about today. Yeah. Because it is a fascinating social development. And I'm serious when I say this. I think they're going to be talking about this for years. I think this is like a phenomenon where we will see like the consequence of Clav and the dating pool, and I think men in general in the West is like, yeah, man, like if you're not like looks maxing in some degree, you're cooked and you're not going to make it, And when I say looks maxing, like 80% of it really is like getting lean and eating right and hitting the gym. That's like 80% of it. Like if you're fat, not going to make it, like that's like now the bare minimum is you get lean and, you build some muscle. And I think it's sort of ignited this like rat race, so to speak. Like it's now it's up, and people are more and more, I think, are gonna hop on peptides and steroids, and it's sort of going to widen this divide between like, the you could say the haves and the have-nots. And if you're not getting in front of it, then you're falling behind. If you're not like keeping up, in a sense, you're gonna fall behind. So Clav is a pioneer in this age of enlightenment. No, for real. And I'm serious when I say, like, because I'm seeing a lot of people coping about it. Clav is a homosexual. It's like, does he look like a homosexual? Like, he walks into the club and bitches are literally all over him. And it's all walks of bitches. Like, seriously, we're talking liberal feminist women are all over him, all the way over to the trad con types, educated women and uneducated women. They're all like, they're chopping their fucking arms off just to like get close to his penis. You know what I mean? It's like they're climbing over each other, and it's so people who dismiss this phenomenon as simply like, oh, it's gay or you care too much. I don't think they're not picking up on the significance of this, because this is a big cultural shift, and it's fascinating because it reveals, like, some people think that, I'll get more into this later, some people think that like what Clav is doing is exposing women in the modern age. That's not really what he's doing. He's exposing women how they are, how they always have been. The solution to this is not like white knighting or to be more trad. It's like, it's to understand women. And a lot of guys are just cooked. They're coping. And a lot of guys that are hating on Clav are like, they're on the other side of the hill, you know, like they're older, they're past their prime, they're resentful, they're chuds themselves, they're looking at their like fat wife, their disgusting wife, and they're like, and they're trying to cope. And they look at somebody like Clav and they resent Clav because, like, really through his own doing, his own work ethic, he like reinvented himself. And I think a lot of people feel bad about their own work ethic, their own potential, because they could never really do, or maybe they could, but they didn't do what Clav did, and they resent him for that. Nice. I'll play Tarkov with you later. I gotta stream, you know. Dumpy Brett Cooper, yeah. All right. And it's just, it really is one of the most fascinating developments. So, but I'll really dive in, because I kind of want to just like lay the framework for like, you know, who is Clav? How did he really like rise popularity? What is looks maxing in general? What does this mean? What do we learn from this? Hypergamy and about women. And then we'll get into like really like the deeper political implications, because I do think this is sort of in direct contradiction to liberalism and what liberalism is trying to tell you. So we'll get into that in a minute. I'm gonna give it a little bit longer. Yo, what's up, Hawker? How's it going, dog? How's it going? Because, and there's more to it. There's other stuff going on, like beyond, I think, like the stuff we can learn from all of this and how this is literally changing our society and it's changing the dating market. There's more stuff going on behind the scenes, and it does have to do with Peter Thiel. It does have to do with the patronage network. It does have to do with, you know, this right-wing BAP sphere, Bronze Age pervert subversion network that's going on. And they're trying to pull Clav into his sphere of influence because they know he's very, very influential particularly among the youth, but like among like the young men. And the young men with like intelligence and ambition. You know, the men that will be elite human capital. Shalom, Hawker, shalom. And that's also because Thiel is a open homosexual and probably is attracted to Clav. You know, that's documented that Peter Thiel likes younger guys, you know. So that definitely plays a role in it too, but yeah. But before we get into it, hey, don't forget to hit the like button. Leave a comment, subscribe, hit the bell notification. And yeah, I think before we do this sort of like deep dive, I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to like some of the spy games going on, but there is an extensive like influence campaign going on that is like Russian connected. And Ron Unz is very much a part of that. If you don't know who Ron Unz is, he's kind of like one of the, or was one of the like sort of unsung heroes of the right wing, of the dissident right. And he's not even necessarily right wing, but himself, he's kind of more of like maybe a liberal. But well, he did a hit piece on Nick, and there's all of this very bizarre connections are, these very bizarre connections are coming out where Unz is likely some kind of like Russian patron. You know, he's affiliated with Russian state media. Same thing with Andrew Anglin. There's this whole developing story regarding this influence campaign in the right wing. And maybe I'll save that till the end if we have time, but it's kind of it's alarming, and it's a little spooky because this is like an extensive foreign op, and it's Andrew Anglin connected with Ron Unz. Ron Unz connected to Russian state media, and really like Alexander Dugin. And Alexander Dugin, whom is, he's this Russian political thinker that has shaped a lot of the Russian policy over the last several decades. And Richard Spencer, his ex-wife, was, she's Georgian, and she was translating many of Dugin's books into English. And they went after Richard Spencer as soon as he took a more pro-Ukraine, pro-NATO stance. And these people are also like affiliated with Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson's also been glazing Russia and glazing like Russian satellite states or Russian influenced countries like Serbia and like Viktor Orban of Hungary, pro-Russian countries, and trying to he's conducting diplomacy and painting Russia in a much more favorable light in comparison to America. And a lot of this propaganda about like Satanism, the West is satanic, is actually coming from, well, it's at least mirrored in Russia, because Putin is saying the same thing. He's saying that the West is satanic. That largely came out after the start of his special military operation in Ukraine in 2022. And it's bizarre now that you do see people like Candace Owens, like Tucker Carlson, repeating a lot of the same stuff. It's Satanism. And then Sneeko had on this guy, Professor Zhang, who's this Chinese professor, potentially another foreign op, who's pushing the same idea that these Satanists are merely a heresy of Judaism, these Sabbatean Frankists he's talking about. And the whole thing is really just screams this interference op, bearing the lead. It's not a Jewish network. Epstein wasn't a Jewish fixer that was acting like a triple agent, really acting on behalf of Israel and Jewish interests. No, he was some kind of Satanist. And Satanism comes from these Sabbatean Frankists. It's like all of this is so obscure. And you also have to remember, like, what is Russia? Who has big influence in Russia? Chabad Lubavitchers. That's like the headquarters of the Chabad Lubavitchers, which are kind of like, when you think of like the worst of the worst, that's kind of where you go. That's kind of what you think of when you think of like the worst of the worst when it comes to like the cabal, so to speak. They're very pro, obviously, they're pro J and all that, but Russia is a strong ally of Israel too. And so, of course, it's not them. It's the Sabbatean Frankists. It's the Satanists, and it's all just so histrionic and ridiculous. And they're getting people to they're pushing this demoralization campaign on behalf of Russia. And so there's a whole lot going on there that maybe I'll get into a little bit later. But that's sort of been another really fascinating development recently. Is I think in this current year, what people really need to understand, what like the goal, I think, politically, or one of the goals this year, is to unravel a lot of these patronage networks. These people aren't acting alone. They have networks of people that working in tandem for certain shared interests, but that's how they get things done, you know? Like you look at somebody like Jeffrey Epstein, you know, he's conducting diplomacy and arms deals between the UK and Saudi Arabia in the 70s. He's getting them to sell, the UK to sell a bunch of missiles to Saudi Arabia. And so he is this like third party fixer. And that's really how politics works. That's how like these influence networks works. You know, first and foremost, it's like he embeds himself, he involves himself with all of these different organizations and governments. And then he's the guy that solves problems. Whether it's like the Safari network in, what was that, Ethiopia, where it's a bunch of Muslim countries plus America and Israel acting as like this like investment firm. I wonder who benefits from that network. So my point is, the idea behind this is, you know, you build this network, you embed yourself in this network, and then when the time comes, when somebody needs a problem solved, Epstein was there. And it's really about like rubbing elbows with these people and getting a business with these people to influence them. And that was the primary like focus, or that's the primary objective of really any influence or patronage network. And Epstein was certainly a part of that. Now, the blackmail and any more nefarious things certainly play a part in that. It does get deeper, but that's like surface level. This is like politics. This is how it works. It's about the who. Who's running things? Who do they know? Who are they acting on behalf of? And I hope that's how, you know, in this year and going forward, that's how we really view politics. And all of these people, whether it's Ron Owens or Candace Owens or people in the left, or these politicians like J.D. Vance or Vivek Ramaswamy, that we really try to understand who they are, what is their network. Let's map out their network. Because people get too hung up on ideology. It's not about ideology, really. Like, yes, it's important, but it's really about the who. You want to fix this country, you need to identify who's pulling the strings. You want to fix this country, you need to replace those people, or at least put them in check. The ideology comes after. Because too many people think all our problems will be solved if we just, like, you know, became left-wing or whatever. If we embraced, insert your ideology here, like if we were truly capitalist, if we were true free market capitalists, everything would be good. It's the big government that's the problem. It's like, no, the institutions in and of themselves are not the problem. It's the people. It's the people and their patronage networks that are the problem. So that's how people need to think about things. It's the personnel that come first. You know, don't be an ideologue. It's not about the ideology, really. And the United States is a Israel first government. Yeah. We're really alone out here. We are. That's like the scary part. It's like, who the fuck are these people? Who is Ron Owens? Like Andrew England? Here's a tidbit of information. First, he was trying to handle Nick for a while. He would get on the phone with Nick, and he would say stuff like, "Oh man," and this is like Nick talked about this. Like it's out there. You can find it. You know, he was telling Nick like, "Oh man, I'm not good at a lot of things, but I am really good at keeping a secret. You can tell me your secrets. I can keep your secrets. And we should do these kinds of calls every week." That's like handler shit. That's like, tell me your secrets and let's check in every week. You know, like that's what that means. But what's really interesting is, you know, what was it, a year into the special military operation, back when the Wagner group was doing most of the heavy lifting for Russia, which is this PMC, paramilitary corporation. Well, there was a point in time where there was severe disagreement between Prigozhin, who was the like Jewish oligarch that runs Wagner, that he's the head of Wagner, and the Russian military generals. There was a very big disagreement, a schism, and at one point, Prigozhin turned his army around, some 30,000 troops, and was beelining it straight to Moscow, suggesting that there was a real military coup going on. And during this period of time, Andrew Anglin was telling Nick, like, you know, man, it might be over for me. I can't say what's going on. You know, if Prigozhin takes over Moscow, I'm cooked. It's over for me. Nice knowing you. Well, obviously, as we know, Prigozhin and Putin came to some kind of agreement. Prigozhin stands down, and eventually Putin takes him out anyway by shooting down his plane. And so it's like, okay, so Andrew Anglin is freaking out that he might go down if Putin goes down and Prigozhin takes over and successfully conducts this military coup. That's very suspicious. Then who's Andrew Anglin? And people have suspected that he wasn't in America for the longest time. He's probably in Russia. He's probably affiliated with the Russian government. Much like Jackson Hinkle, who's like this left-wing kind of like MAGA communism. And I think Unz is affiliated with them too, with Russia, and Tucker in some capacity, and likely Candace as well. It's all very suspicious, man. Very suspicious. And it just goes to show, like, you know, it's not just Israel. It's not, you know, we are like up for grabs. All these other countries, and it's of course deeper than nationality, of course, but all these other countries are trying to influence you. They're trying to influence you. They're trying to influence the American government, the American public, with their own means. And so figuring out who these people are it's definitely scary, because we are talking about, like, you know, these various intelligence networks, and you are peeling back the curtain, and I think there's some very scary implications behind that. Like they could just start, you know, killing people. Who knows? But it just demonstrates really how things work. But anyway, so I'll have more to say maybe on that later. Maybe I'll dive deeper into that tomorrow. But like I said, today I wanted to talk about Clavicular, and sort of I'll start off by giving a brief like overview of who Clavicular is, of course, just in case you don't know. So Clavicular is like one of the biggest streamers at the moment. He's huge, blowing up on Kick. You know, the raw numbers don't do enough of don't quite paint the full story. You know, he's got like 10 to 20,000 live viewers at any point in time, but he has like immense cultural impact. You know, he really blew up throughout the kind of latter half of last year, when he really did ascend. And you can look at like, you can sort of look at the before and after pictures. I don't want to see clavicles. This is not helping. But the point is, he like was like an unremarkable kind of like chud guy, and then he ascended and is now like the talk of the town. You know, he blew up in the latter half of last year, did a collab with Nick, was going viral on TikTok all the time, and his whole thing was looks maxing and doing like by any means necessary, going to the gym, you know, slimming down, and then using like peptides and steroids and other drugs to enhance his appearance. Really looks maxing by any means necessary. And you know, by the latter half of the year, like he was visibly looking a lot better. I wish roids weren't harmful. Well, look, there are consequences for everything that you do. And understand, and my goal here is also like, I'm going to try to like explain this as like candidly as possible. He definitely leaned into the memes and the tropes, like the bone smashing stuff. Like that's not real. Like that is a meme. That is a joke. That he's not actually bone smashing. He's committed to the bit, and it's like rage bait. Like literally, he like rage baited his way to the top as well. Like that was a big part of his ascent. he goes on this interview with Michael Knowles, who's asking him, so you hit yourself in the head with the hammer? Get a load of this guy. That's weird. And it's like, and like people like totally, and if you watch my stream, I was like kind of 50-50. I'm like, this seems like a meme, but fuck, I don't know. You know, he's really selling it. But no, like bone smashing, not like a real thing, doesn't actually work. It's a meme. And even like the clips now, even like the clavicular, like I'm watching people fall for the rage bait clips all the fucking time. Like they just like literally the captions of these clips, people just take at face value. Like I saw this one, where is it? Like this one clip where he's benching and it's at the end of his set. And the clip is like, you know, Clavicular struggles to, I think it was Aiden updates. Clavicular struggles to bench 3 reps of 135, which is not a lot of weight. Like they deliberately clipped it at that point, the last 3. The real number was like 17 or 18. And everyone is like falling for the rage bait. This guy is on roids and he can't bench 135 for more than 3 reps. It's like, are we serious right now? So, so that played a crucial part in his ascent. But even before, you know, he was like a bouncer, you know, so he had been around this space for a long point in time. But it was really like the social media and complete commitment to the bit and like actually looks maxing that really like caused his meteoric rise. Like he did improve his looks significantly, and a lot of that has to do with like lean maxing. You know, really going through puberty, like, because he's a young guy and like, you know, getting on the opposite end of puberty, that's going to contribute a lot to a glow up. But like the number one thing is getting lean. If you get lean, that's how you get the chiseled jawline. That's how you get the hollow cheeks, is low body fat percentage. And you can do while also maintaining like a good physique, good muscle mass that you can achieve with like things like steroids. And so a combination of these drugs really allowed him to enhance his appearance. So that is his arc by any means necessary. And it's like not necessarily like a new phenomenon. Like looks maxing has been around for a while. It's always been like a thing to some degree, right? Like being a Chad, being taller, being better looking, like everyone kind of subconsciously knows you're gonna be more successful, especially with women. It's not like a new phenomenon, but you know, really this idea of ascending, you know, in like the modern zeitgeist was popularized by like Z's. If you remember Z's, you know, you might have seen his like hard edits. What are they called? Hard style edits. You know, he was his bodybuilder in like 2010, 2011. He really kind of broke out of like the bodybuilder forums, and his whole thing was like, we're all gonna make it, brah. You know, like, because he was like this kind of like nerdy chud too. If you don't know who Z's is, you know, you've probably seen like an edit or 2 of Z's, you know. And he was like he was one of the guys that really like popularized like the aesthetics movement. Like, because really before Z's, a lot of guys, they would focus on like a different kind of like physique. They're more focused on being as big as possible, more bodybuilder, big, wide, less so about like proportionality and leanness. And that's something like Z's really pioneered. And so like Z's walked so, you know, people like Clav or Androgenic and these other looks maxers could run. And it's really kind of, you know, opened up this idea, this sort of like Faustian idea that maybe you can ascend. Maybe you can, through hard work, dedication, and like, you know, a willingness to like engage in these things that might hurt you in the long run, these unhealthy things, you can ascend and become sort of higher status, higher looks than you were otherwise genetically confined to. And so this whole arc, you know, watching Clavicular blow up, it's almost like it's really not about like Clavicular himself, but almost like what he represents and how people are interacting with Clavicular, that I think is like the real insight is gained from that. Because what Clav, and this part is not new, but Clav is really revealing like the consequences of female hypergamy in real time. And it's like, yeah, rip my mullet. Okay, all right, okay. Don't derail me. Because like, you know, you've had for a while, you had these like red pill guys talk about how like women are hoes, you know, you gotta get money, status, and all of that. Get in the gym, don't be a fat piece of shit. You know, that's like something that I think was really popularized maybe like 2019, 2020, 2021 with people like Andrew Tate, people like Fresh and Fit, and some other like pickup artists / red pill guys. And then Clav really sort of reframed that by saying, well, yeah, money and status are all important, but looks are like maybe even more important, especially when you're in this sort of like environment where status and money don't play a factor. Like if you're in the club, the most important thing is like your appearance, your physique, your face, you could say your physical aura, so to speak. And that was something that didn't quite exist nearly as much in the zeitgeist. Previously, it was like you got a money max, status max, and then here Clav is like, well, you gotta looks max. You gotta do that, and it's more than just getting in the gym. It's like you do have to worry about your face. You do have to worry about like all of these sort of other things, and breaking it down beyond this sort of like general statement, like yeah, look good, and autistically going through like what proper facial proportions are, ratios, what the ideal is, and you know that's largely backed by data. You know, backed by you know how women respondents to different men and their facial features, and women too, you know, vice versa too, but based on like preference and sort of the general agreement on what is attractive and what versus what isn't. That's how they sort of came to these certain numbers, ratios, and standards. These beauty, I guess you could say beauty standards, physical beauty standards. And so Clav really brought that into the forefront and said by any means necessary. And so you have a lot of people coping and saying, well, you know, it's not all about looks. It's, you know, also have the status, like you could be broke, and because you see these fat guys with hot bitches all the time. It's like, well, that's not what he's saying. Like nobody is saying like it's only about looks, obviously. If I started mewing, I'm always mewing. I've been mewing. Hello. Of course. You have to stay mewing. And the most interesting interactions is you see Clav goes into the club and he's like, you have all these types of women that are throwing themselves at him. You have like feminist type women. You have, you know, uneducated women and educated women, both professional women that have degrees and like just like sluts in the club, you know, like freshmen in college or just like, you know, some like barista. All women are throwing themselves at him. And this is like in like direct contradiction to this sort of liberal promise. Because like liberalism has promised that like we're moving in this age of rationality. We're in this age of rationality, and that's what will triumph. And the best, most moral among us will rise to the top. And we don't need to be brutes anymore. We value other, you know, things that are maybe more noble than this vain pursuit of like, you know, physical appearance or physical excellence, you know? And that's like the argument for symptom, for being a simp, you know? If you white knight hard enough in this day and age, we value that more. And then here comes Clav, this guy that has totally committed himself to being a Chad. He ascends, he's like 6'2". He goes in, he's like rude to these women, like that's his character. He's like, get out of my way, bitch. And they're like enamored. They're like, he's like, okay, whatever, bitch. And they would like fucking cut their own legs off just to get near his penis. Like they are climbing over each other. You've got like Isabel, what's her name? Isabel Moody. Moody. this like right-wing commentator who's married, yeah, Isabella Moody, she shows up at an ASU frat party just to collab with Clavicular. Like, bitch, you're married. She's like marketing herself as this like tradcon type Christian, traditional values. And here she is going out of her fucking way to Arizona, an Arizona State University. She's like married with a kid to interact with Clavicular. Similar thing happens with Brett Cooper. Clavicular, the day after he gets out of prison, he's in New York to walk the runway at New York Fashion Week. Brett Cooper makes an appearance and interacts with Clav, and she says she was there for another reason, but it's like, this is also a right-wing influencer that is married with a kid. What's going on here? And her response was kind of, you know, unconvincing, I'll say that. She's like, oh, I'm there for other reasons. I can't smile at people, you know, touch grass. It's like, okay, I see through you, bitch. So point is, this is not like, this gets to like the crux of female nature. When women are not confined by like societal standards and shaming, then this is how they behave. They go out and they're as hypergamous as possible. And so really what this is teaching us is this is not a criticism or like this reveal, this revelation on the like modern society or like postmodernism or the degenerate West in the way that it is now. No, dude, this shows us how women are and always have been. This goes back to like Eve in the Garden of Eden. This is how women are. This is not a consequence of modernism, of like a secular society. This is human nature. And what Clav is really bringing back to the consciousness is this like looksism. We are not as rational as we think. We are not beyond this, like the sort of temptations of the flesh. We are in many ways irrational. And that is like, especially women. Women are the more irrational sex. And it's like, despite these appeals to rationality, it's the big 26, we're educated. Women, educated, uneducated, are throwing themselves to be with the Chad. Even for just a night. And they know it's just for a night. They know they can't lock that down. They're gonna get pumped and dumped. But it's like, it is the irrational behavior that like the draw, and women have always been like this. So it is bringing looksism back into the conversation. And this is something, what I'm about to talk about, this is something I'm not really hearing a lot of people say. I haven't really heard anybody have this particular take. But you keep hearing Clav say, why are they making it political? Why do they keep painting me as a political figure when he doesn't really want to be? That's not what he's out. On the surface level, it's because of people like Peter Thiel. It's because Clav is very popular and influential among the youth. That's all true. And especially when it comes to Peter Thiel, he wants Clav's audience. He wants to pull Clavicular into his sphere of influence for a couple reasons. One, because Peter Thiel's a homosexual and probably wants to fuck Clav. Okay, well, let's get that out of the way first. But second, because Clav also, he does represent this like transhumanism a little bit with like, the surgeries, the by any means necessary, because Clav isn't really ascending, he's transcending. He's like transcending his like genetic constraints artificially through pharmaceutical and like medical intervention, surgical intervention. That is like in many ways similar to transhumanism and transgenderism. Men turning into women through surgeries and vice versa, or transcending your corporeal body. We're gonna reach synthesis with the machines. Mechanicus 40K or whatever. That is like a big part of like what Thiel and his milieu is like about. So that plays a part in it. What's interesting, I will say this real quick, like instead of like moving in the other direction to shed his masculinity in favor of a femininity, instead of like transcending his gender to become feminine. He's like becoming hyper masculine. You know what I mean? And so he's going in the opposite direction. Thiel and a lot of these other, BAP sphere people, Passage Press, the Sovereign House, like the New York socialite, Jewish, tranny, kind of Indian too, crypto, finance, and tech milieu, that whole patronage network are big into that stuff. And they were glazing Clav because they wanted to pull him over here. Clav's like, nah, you guys are all freaks. He went to their Milady concert. Milady is a crypto that's backed by Thiel. And he said, yeah, he was there for like 15 minutes and said, you guys are all freaks. And they're glazing Clav because that's what BAP was all about. Like BAP was, was this like right-wing looksism kind of guy, bodybuilder forums, vitalist, echoing Nietzschean philosophy about the Ubermenschen and Untermenschen. And they looked at Clav like, this guy's an Ubermenschen. And what is Clav saying? You got to ascend to become a Chad, and these other guys are like subhuman. He calls JD Vance a subhuman. That becomes a problem for BAP and that whole network because that's their guy. And so it's creating this contradiction for that whole sphere. Peter Thiel, the Bronze Age pervert, that whole patronage network of these, right-wing Nietzschean fascist Jews, because it's forcing the contradiction. How can you support JD Vance when he's a fat, disgusting subhuman? Aren't you guys all vitalists? So that part is well understood for why, Clav is a political figure. They want his influence to push JD Vance in 28. They want to pull him in. He is a big problem for them because a lot of his viewers, his fans are like young men that will be voting, that are conscientious, that are ambitious, and they will likely be elite human capital in the near future. And Thiel wants those people in his circle to push Vance. And so this is a big problem for him. So that's understood. But the reason why, this is the part I haven't heard people mention. The reason why I think Clavicular is like inherently political, not only is because of those reasons and because he's like deconstructing liberalism, but he's bringing back this idea of a hierarchy. There is a natural hierarchy in society. That idea is inherently illiberal. Liberalism, it is like this rejection of the natural order of things. In many ways, it's a rejection to God. It's a rejection, which is like the top of the hierarchy. When we think of right wing, that really goes back to the French Revolution. The right wing were the monarchists. They were the ones that were in favor of the French monarchy. And these liberals that were rebelling against the monarchy were left wing. And so you see the same kind of the same sentiment, the same rejection of the hierarchy, rejection of authority. And so if God is at the top, many things are also in society, but really in human nature, in the human experience, are hierarchical. We have great leaders and they have their lieutenants and they have their lieutenants, and it goes down and down. And this idea that the best, most proficient among us rise to the top, in many ways, liberalism is a rejection of that. In many ways, because much of liberalism is a rejection of God. And that is like a Jewish ideology. It's like you're flipping everything upside down. You're flipping the natural order of things upside down. They reject God, and that's why everything is backwards. And so to sort of tie this back into Clavicular brings back into the consciousness, particularly of young men, that there is a hierarchy. Lookism matters, and it's like at a genetic level. It's like innate. It is something that is core. It's fundamental. It's inextricable from the human experience. You cannot fully escape your genetics no matter what you do. Even if you look smacks, even if you take several trips to Turkey and you extend your limbs and everything, you will always be behind somebody that is genetically superior that does the same things. That's like the black pill about it. The white pill is like you can ascend through hard work and maybe some pharmaceutical help or whatever. The black pill is, if you were to level out that playing field, then you would still be behind and you are still ultimately shackled by your genetic reality. And so that's really like the crux of it. It's and why these ideals really are inherently right wing. There is a hierarchy that brings us to the forefront, and it's innate. So what does that suggest? If it's something that's innate, it's in your genetics, it sort of breaks down this myth of like an egalitarian open society. And the dating data agrees with this. You know, who do the women prefer the most? They prefer white guys, okay? White guys do the best in dating across the board. White women also do the best across the board in dating. You can look at the dating preferences and you see how you go through each different race and group of people, and there is like a preference structure that really transcends a lot of these racial boundaries. You know, it's almost like it's understood that you know, some like these white Aryan 6'5" Chads have superior genetics in that regard. And so that really breaks down this egalitarian blank slate myth. And it fundamentally restructures how we think of ourselves and how people fit in society. That's why he's inherently right wing. And politics is downstream of culture. So the culture comes first, and that shapes so much of the politics. That's why Clavicular is inherently right wing. Or, well, inherently right wing, but inherently political. Because he is changing the zeitgeist. He's changing consciousness. And he's bringing once again to the forefront the idea of hierarchy. You mog or you get mogged, you know? You have superior or inferior genetics and looks. And that is now becoming like part of the mainstream consciousness. And in many ways that does scare a lot of like these liberals. A lot of liberal Jews are not, you know, they're afraid of that. The funny thing is, it's like, you know, because these ideas are in many ways like uncomfortable for a lot of liberals, and at the same time they like still they can't help but like love Clav, you know. You've got like all the female Jews want to fuck Clav, and all like the gay Jewish men want to also fuck Clav, you know. It's like they can't help themselves, you know. And so that's why Clav is inherently a political figure. It is so much deeper. It is so much deeper than just funny internet guy, internet drama, internet's e-celebs, and big news for the unemployed. Like it's so real, and the consequences of this are, dude. Like this shit is brutal. This shit is brutal. Like if you are sub 5, it's cooked. It's over for you. If you're not looks maxing, you're done. You're cooked. You're falling behind. Like you have to go through these fucking hoops. And the consequences of that are like men are going to be thinking like, you know, maybe I should hop on those peptides. Fuck, maybe I should get that. Maybe I should take a couple trips to Turkey. Who knows? And it is in many ways sort of normalizing this like transhumanist kind of agenda. Call it Faustian or call it transhumanist. It's maybe something a little bit of both. But it is like, this is where we are now. And and I mean this sincerely, like if you don't get this, if you're not red pilled on women, if you don't understand this is the game, this is what's going on, literally you gotta figure that out, because it's life and death at this point, man. Like, and you see a lot of these like simp white knights that are attacking Clav. You're gay. If you like Clav, it's because you're gay and you want to fuck him. It's like, no, okay, that's low IQ. If you can't understand like what I'm talking about, if you can't understand these ideas, either it's because you are like a jealous little bitch and like you're like past your prime, you fucked up, you resent Clav because he did what you couldn't do. Or maybe you recognize your own inferiority. A lot of insecurity. I'm seeing a lot of insecurity coming out from a lot of these people. A lot of right-wing guys that are like, this is all gay. It's like, guys shouldn't care about their looks. It's like, what is... Clav walks into the fucking club. He's this hyper-masculine figure and he's getting all the bitches. He's getting your bitch right now as we speak. Is that gay? So it's like people are coping about this. He is getting married women to fawn over him. Do you understand the fucking danger you are? You understand right now? This is the way of the world. This is the lay of the land. It's like kill or be killed. It's eat or be eaten. Dog eat dog. And if you don't lock the fuck in and figure it out, man, it like, what are you gonna, like, you're gonna marry some fucking girl that's gonna lie to your face and fuck behind your back. Then you get another Sarah Stock situation. You understand? That, like, these are the revelations that are coming from this whole saga. It's so much more than just like, he rated that ugly picture too. Ah, mug. It's like we are like experiencing this like inflection point in like human interaction and human selective dating, and it's fucking brutal, man. It's like, this is like the extent people, like, guys are gonna have to go through. And it's scary in particular because it's like, what do you do? What does society look like when you have a bunch of military age men that are disenfranchised, that are chuds, that have no hope for the future, and they are involuntarily celibate? You get like Elliot Rodgers, you get more Supreme Gentlemen's, you know, at total like detachment from society, total resentment. And you might see more violence, you will see more dysfunction, you will see more transgenderism, more porn addiction. Like, just we are like, it's like accelerating. It's like, all of this is accelerating. This is the accelerationism option. And there's internal conflict that arises from this, but there could be consequences that arise from like external pressures. If we have to fight a war, are you going to get the young men to fight for this country that has like fucked them over like this? You're going to fight for a country when you've got like no prospects, no wife, no kids, no job, no money, no savings, can't own a home. And now you got to like fucking hit your head in with a fucking hammer just to get like a fat bitch. That's like fucking crazy, bro. And so now you're going to go after some foreign country, get your legs blown off so some whore can live in a high rise? Dude, this is what we're talking about here. This is like, so it's a very grim reality that we're speeding headlong into. That it's here, actually. We are here. It's here now. That's why it's like, guys, like, lock the fuck in. Otherwise, like, you will get left behind. And this divide, like, the middle class is dying. It will disappear forever. Much of the upper class is going to disappear forever. It's going to be like poor people, homeless people, and like the 1% of the 1%. Because, you know, you're either replaced by a foreigner or by AI. And on top of that, you got to hit your head with the fucking hammer. You got to smash your face in with the hammer. You know, like, that's what you have to do in this year, in the current year. So, you know, it's like, with the transhumanist future is here. So at what point are people going to be like, fuck my chud body, I want a 6'5" body. Let's bring in the chrome, or let's bring in the cyberpunk bodies. I'm going to buy a 6'5" body and just transplant my brain and my organs into that body. That's where we're at, man. It's already happening with the surgeries. We're already cyborgs, just high latency cyborgs. It's here, man, and it's dark. I don't know. Like, you can't not play this game anymore. And if you cope about it, it could cost you fucking everything. So you gotta lock the fuck in. You don't want to end up like these simps, man. At this point, like, if you're a simp, I really don't have sympathy for you. No pun intended. But it's like, you know, simps really are doing most of the enabling of this kind of behavior. And we are kind of heading towards like Korea. You know, Korea and Japan have been good predictors for where America is going to go, the rest of the West. But like, they're like incel / like hypergamy culture is worse than here. That's where like the 4B movement came in. Like, what is it? Like, no kids, no marriage, like no men, like the whole femcel, radfem stuff, like that originated from Korea. So like, that's where we're heading. Like, the hypergamy is getting worse, and it is what it is. So if you don't figure out women, if you don't learn from this is how women are. They've always been this way. it can cost you everything, you know? Look at tens. Yeah, you don't want to end up like tens. Look at fuck. You know, like that one football player, or you know, soccer player, the Casca. You know, you don't want to end up like any of these other, like, you could be top of your game, you know? And still, like, your woman just, like, fucks you over. And married with kids, fucks you over. So, Simpson White Knights, bro, cooked. Absolutely fucking cooked. That's the lesson Clav is wittingly, unwittingly teaching everybody. And it's a fascinating case study. And I think they'll talk about this for, unironically, for years. I think this is going to be talked about in like university lectures. It's hard to overstate the significance of this. I know it sounds like I'm glazing. I'm just being real, man. Like this is really fascinating stuff, and it's scary. It's scary in some sense because it is such a dark reality. There is a white pill that you can just simply by... There's a white and a black pill. The white pill is you can work harder to ascend. The black pill is you can only ascend so much. If you're 5'4" and like, you know, Indian, like that's rough. That's you're pretty cooked. Living in the West at least. Maybe try banded sleeping or something. I don't know. So that's why it's... Yeah, so to recap it, it's something Clav, it's like fundamentally so much deeper. It reveals so much about the human condition that's always been there. Yeah, it's so much more than just like internet e-drama. And even like the upcoming election, it's way deeper than that actually. It's even deeper than like current dating patterns and, you know, sort of the immediate future. This is like the human condition. When you remove all of the inhibitions, all of the stopgaps preventing female hypergamy, but women are just like this. Understand, women are simply just like this. As long as we are of the flesh, they will be like this. So don't get it fucking twisted. Anyway, that's clavicular. That's clavicular. Let me catch up here. Handsome without the mullet. Maxing on all levels. Let's go. Let's go. I got the haircut, you know. I got the headphone dent. That's not helping me out. Ignore that. That's temporary. That's not skull shape. That's the headphones, you know. What they do. Maybe I should get in-ear monitors instead of... It's part of the looks max, and we have to use in-ears to not fuck up the hair. Anyway. You risk it all for Miss Cooper. Did anyone see Clav's discussion with Alex Eubank? I did not see that with Alex Eubank. Not that particular one. Ray Maxing, you're pushing Thomas Massey. Thomas Massey is kind of like the only one. And he's not even good on everything. He's not really good on immigration or trade. He is a libertarian ideologically. But he's good on the Epstein files. I think he's a patriot. You know. The low bar, but I promote Massey as well. That's why, you know, side note, that is one of the reasons why I am watching. You know, I am very curious to see how Fishback pans out. I've expressed my I doubt, my suspicions. But the kind of meta victory that could occur if Fishback wins, it says you can win on an openly America first platform. And by like being kind of racist, you know, he's saying his opponent is like gonna open up a bunch of Section 8 housing. It's like that's clearly a dog whistle because he's black. That's kind of funny. And so there could be a victory there. I hope Fishback is legit. We are in this point where we can't get fooled again, you know? And so I hope he's the real deal. But I'll be honest, I am suspicious. Because now would be the time that people would hop on the bandwagon, hop on this train. Because I do think it's a popular ticket. And You know, based on who Fishback is, his glazing of Barry Weiss and like Bill Ackman, very suspicious. How recently he got red pilled and all this stuff, very suspicious. His demeanor, his physiognomy, very. Can't ignore any of that, but I think he's saying a lot of the right things. At least I'll say that. But you know, we got to be careful. What is a peptide? In short, it's like a pharmaceutical, like an experimental pharmaceutical. A lot of people are hopping on them. Donald Trump is, and maybe do I have that right? What is the official definition? Short chains of amino acids linked by peptide bonds. Polypeptide is a longer one. I guess, okay, this is the more, if you want like an official definition. Chains of amino acids, but the way that they're being used, or rather marketed and purchased, they are pharmaceuticals. And a lot of the peptides people are buying are not like, you know, cleared by the FDA. They're not necessarily safe to use, in other words. Looking like a true chud. This is from the heart, guys. Yeah. Chicken wings, including tendons, equals boost collagen. Yeah, I'm taking collagen too. It's good for your skin, your hair, your nails. Collagen's good. Biotin's also good too. Five is going to look like a freak show by the time he's 30. Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? Who knows? Honestly, and I'm not trying to like concern troll, but I don't know like what kind of stack he's taking, but you know, he might be burning it from both ends. You know, I don't want him to be another cautionary tale, but I also maybe this is a little more schizophrenic, but like I do worry that like maybe some incel or some radical person would try to take him out. I mean, he already has armed security, but you know, there are a lot of crazy people out there. He does like 12-hour long IRL streams. If some crazy nut job really wanted to like take him out, it would be possible. Some incel, some jealous incel or something, or some like nut job tranny or like rad femme or something. A lot of crazy people out there. He's got to be careful. So he's got to get an ugly woman. There's plenty of ugly, lonely women out there. Dude, ugly women will be pick-me's because they have no options. Okay, but if Chad still wanted to fuck the ugly woman, she'd still leave your ass. You know what I mean? Don't get it fucking twisted, man. It's just that's the way of the jungle. Yeah, short chains of 2 to 50 amino acids that act as fundamental biological regulators, repairing tissues, signaling hormones, and building proteins. Greta, that's peptides. Elliot Rogers was an autistic kid. Yeah, a lot of people are autistic. A lot of people are psycho. Some of it is also like induced by, you know, some of these drugs. You know, how many of these crazy people that shoot up a school are on SSRIs? You know, there's like shocking statistics. It's like, you know, you have like half of these universities, the kids are on some kind of like antidepressant. Like that's fucking insane. Like a third to 2/3 of a student body. So people are like fucking zonked out of their minds right now. Everything's backwards. Just wash your skin, slap some good and expensive sunscreen, and eat chicken wings. Eat the skin, cartilage, and joints. What the fuck are you talking about? What the fuck are you talking? Each what? What are we fucking cavemen? Yeah, no. Have a good diet, but like, okay. They want to reduce the population anyhow. Yeah, I think a lot of that is like overstated because that's not the same people saying we like the world's overpopulated are like building wells and infrastructure in Africa where they're fucking like rabbits. Like that's really just an anti-white trope. They want the educated white people to not have kids. And that's why you see, and much of that is a product of like modernism, and that's suppressing the birth rates and the economy. But like they're not telling Africans to not have kids. You know, they're boosting the African population. So they're like, it's not about depopulating the planet. It's about like white people, really depopulating white people. Some people do believe in the whole carbon stuff. But it's like, and much of that is like their like anti-colonial, liberal overcompensation. You know, maybe they really do believe white people are evil, or that we shouldn't do it to black people or minorities because of colonialism. Some people genuinely believe that, but you're really seeing that propaganda go the hardest in the West, where white people live. And you have to wonder why and who's pushing it. You look at like the World Economic Forum, it's a lot of Jews. It's a lot of anti-white Jews. So, you know, Yuval Noah Harari, like the technocratic evil scientist brainchild of the WEF, who pushes the transhumanism and the atheism and the homosexuality and all of that. Like, he's an Israeli Jew, you know? So the Epstein elites don't care about us, just like they don't care about any of these Ukrainians. They'd be massacred. Yeah, you don't care about any of these Ukrainians being massacred. I mean, like, look, and I don't really care that much about Ukrainians. I'm American. It's happening over there. Like, yeah, I care from a moral perspective, but it's like, that's not really our that's not really our fight. That's not really our problem. Ukraine, that is. And a lot of Ukrainians don't even consider themselves Western or white. Russians don't consider themselves white, a lot of them. You know, that's a big part of like what I alluded to earlier, this whole Russian network, this patronage network that is being exposed. A lot of that is just Russian propaganda. And I don't say that as like one of these resistance liberals. Russian collusion, unironically, there is a Russian network trying to influence you. And they were successful in a lot of ways. And one of the reasons why they're crashing out on Nick now of all times, like, even though Nick has been one of the most like consequential figures in American politics, American right-wing politics, now after a collab with Richard Spencer, and Nick says that he is really not pro-Russia and sympathizes, you know, really with NATO, he's more pro-NATO, and that being pro-Russia was a mistake in hindsight. Now the attacks come in. Now Ron Unz now wants to mention that Nick even exists. And he published this hit piece on him, which is like really kind of unsubstantial. Like, it doesn't really have much substance to it other than just like, you know, attacking Nick's intellect and his credentials, his credibility as an intellectual in the space, as a political pundit. It's like a personal attack. That's what this whole article was. So, yeah. And that's really like, that should be the biggest revelation, I think, as of right now, barring more information coming out. Like, the biggest thing you can take away from the Epstein files are that Epstein was this fixer, this international fixer, triple agent that was a Jewish supremacist. Okay, he likely involved in blackmail. That's probably real. There are insinuations of things more nefarious, but the crux of it is he was acting on behalf of the Jewish people. He was a Jewish elitist. That is 100% true, just based on his correspondence with other Jews, with Ehud Barak, the way he talked about Jews versus Gentiles. And so if that kind of guy is influencing, he's building this network, he's infiltrating the networks of all of these international Western elites and non-Western elites too. What does that say about the kind of influence that this Jewish network has? And of course the Jewish state of Israel too. So just merely by being in bed with a lot of these powerful people, you can influence them. Blackmail is, you know, that's just a whole nother dimension. That's like the cherry on top. Just by being that guy, like, fuck, we need to, you know, we need somebody to broker this deal between these two nations, between these two parties. Oh, I know. Let's call up our buddy Epstein. He knows the Saudis. He's got it in with the you know, the Saudi crown prince. We can make that happen. We use Epstein. He's a fixer. He's the middleman. You know, and that's how these things are. That's how this operates. That's politics for you. That's these networks. That's Tucker Carlson. That's Ron Unz. That's the Dugan network. That's who these people are. John Mappin. You can plot this out in like an Obsidian file, and the people have. You know, shout out to a lot of the people doing much of the grunt work. I think a good account to follow is Laundry Queen. You know, she's been covering a lot of like the more Dugan stuff. Good account to follow. Basil, Basilian Thought is another good one for like the BAP sphere. He's in New York, you know, he's gay. So he's in that milieu. He's a New York gay lawyer. But so he like knows a lot of these people. And so he's a good person to follow to hear about the inner workings of that. And so to take it back to first principles, you have to know who these people are, what the networks are, because that's the crux of politics. It's who. It's who. Not the what or the how, but the who. That's the most important thing. That's one of the reasons why they hate Nick so much, because he's charting these people out like he's making the map. This isn't like it's these communists. It's the Israelis. It's the Zionists. Not even saying the Jews, but like it's when he says it's Peter Thiel, it's JD Vance, it's Bill Ackman, it's Barry Weiss. He's naming names. Do you understand? He's naming names, and that's maybe the biggest reason why they feel threatened by him, because he's shining a spotlight on the people actually doing this shit. You know, things happen because people are making moves. So if you expose them, they feel exposed and like shut it down. That's why naming names is the most effective thing. You blow the fucking lid off of it. You know, you map out these networks, and because you need to know who's on your side, who's against you, who's acting on whose interests, on behalf of whose interests. That's how people need to think. It doesn't really matter what people say. People say shit all the time. You know, Tucker says shit. Trump has said stuff. Doesn't really matter. Like who they know, who they're in bed with. That matters a lot more. So anyway. And as far as sunscreen, I recommend mineral sunscreen too. A lot of sunscreens are carcinogenic. You know, these chemicals. Be a little careful with that. Into that. Even the Mexicans are acting LGBTQ now. Not sure what you. Oh, even well. Yeah, man. I mean, like, bro, you got black people are more gay per capita than like white people. So, all these homosexual Latinx young people. Yeah, I mean, there are gay people everywhere. They're fucking Afghanis that are doing gay shit. I mean, come on. You have gay people in Saudi Arabia. So, the Epstein files are amazing. He was instructing bankers on how to do business with the Chinese. He totally got how they want to save face, and they want a way to launder their money out of China. Yeah, that's what he's about, man. He's the guy. I need some advice. I need somebody that knows somebody. Let's consult Epstein. And look at where that got him. Very influential. And, you know, obviously he was boosted, he was helped, but you know, that was his role, that was his job. He was an asset. These hot girls are not going to want to get married and settle down until they're 40 and completely blown out. Yeah, and she will still resent the simp that she settles down with, because she closes her eyes at night and dreams of the Chad that she had for that week or whatever. They are just like alpha widowed, you know what I mean? No guy can compare to that guy unless he's literally better, you know? They can only upgrade. And it causes real psychological damage to these women. Subconscious. Clav and Alex Eubank discussed Catholicism and Clav's conversion. When was this? What was the gist of that? Give me a Spark Notes. Give me a GPT summary of that conversation. Did Clav become Catholic? Good on Alex. No, I don't appreciate your judging. Just look up foods that boost collagen production in your body. Chicken wings are on the list. This condensed jokes. Whatever, dude. You can eat your fucking chicken tendons. I'm gonna have some like fucking Chinese like worker, some some sweatshop worker to grind the bones down into a powder that I'm gonna then package that powder into a bottle that will ship, and we'll ship that bottle out to America that I will buy, and I'll scoop that powder and put it into my drink in the morning. That's where I'm gonna get my collagen from. Nick has been sounding compromised. Based on what? People keep saying that, but it's like, why? Like that's like what Unz is accusing him of, and Unz is like a Russian shill. Not all Jews. I hear that Discord has a new Jewish CEO. Yeah, then just trying to put like real ID verification, you know? The sun is good for you. You get 3 hours of, yeah, the sun is good for you. You need your vitamin D, but it's also important to be active in the sun because, you know, you need stimulus for your body to start developing vitamin D. And so that also requires like a certain skin temperature. So it's good to like do an exercise out in the sun. Just walk around, do something. That helps wake you up, boosts your energy. It's also good, like in general, like vitamin D is like a very good supplement in general. Or rather, very good vitamin. It's also good for muscle recovery, for building muscle. In particular, if you like supercharge your body with vitamin D. Now, if you take vitamin D as a supplement, be wary. Don't take too much. It can become toxic in high doses. You'll have to look that up for your body weight. But especially you want, in extreme cases, it can cause like brain damage if your like liver can't filter out the toxicity. So if you are taking vitamin D as a supplement, it's also good to match it up with like some magnesium. And I think vitamin K7 or vitamin MK7 can help as well. Don't take too much of that because you can get constipated. But ideally, you would generate it naturally, but there are a lot of benefits to getting plenty of vitamin D. It's very good for energy. I've suffered from vitamin D deficiency, and it fucking sucks. So make sure you're getting enough vitamin D. You're better off alone than to get into some type of Will Smith type of entanglement. Yeah, can you imagine? Like, you either get red-pilled now, or you get red-pilled like 20 years into your fucking marriage and everybody's clowning on you. And like you have like 3 kids or whatever and your shit's cooked. And you're stuck, you're trapped. What do you do then? You just kill yourself, you know? So. W coffee? Yeah, caffeine's good too. So, anyway. Yeah, that was a lot. That was quite the riff, huh? Oh, we're all caught up now. Yeah. That's why I think the Alex Jones InfoWars tagline, InfoWars, a war for your mind, that's like real. That is like maybe one of the best taglines because it's so true. People are fighting for your mind. And it's not just left and right. It's not just like, you know, Jews and Gentiles. It's not just Israel, non-Israel. It's not just Americans. All kinds of patronage networks. Russian, Israeli, Saudi, Qatari, Chinese, you name it. Indian. It is like an open market at the moment to try and win your mind over. That's why it's so important to know who's trying to influence you. Because it's like, no wonder why they're saying like, oh, Putin's based. Because the conversations now, like, they're really pushing hard on this Satanist stuff. And don't get me wrong, I'm not naive enough to think that, I think there's some of that going on at a high level. But why now? Like, you know, the Epstein files are satanic. All of these people are satanic. When really the release of the Epstein files, there's nothing explicitly satanic in there thus far. You know, you could talk about the iconography and a lot of these like musicians and their secret hand signals and all that and symbolism and imagery. But the Epstein files themselves, like there's really, well, what we have now, there's nothing explicitly satanic. And unless you want to be obtuse and say like, you know, trafficking women is satanic. I mean, that's okay. I got everything bad is satanic, you know, that's not really very, I don't think that's the correct way to, or like the crux of the issue or how I would categorize it. But that totally aligns with like, you know, what is Putin saying? The West is satanic. Like, what do you, dude, fucking Russia is satanic. You know how many of these like Satan groups there are in Russia? Like what is the Order of the Nine Angles and that other one? I forgot that was like 17 or like there's a lot of Satanism in Russia. What the fuck are you talking about? And you've got, you know, you've got Kabod Lubovichers over there. You know, so it's not even like, as far as the JQ stuff goes, it's like Russia is super like this with Israel and Jewish interests, but there is an internal conflict between like the Bolsheviks and the Zionists. There is like a brother war going on right now. You know, a little bit of tension there. But no, Russia is degenerate. They have like more abortions per capita than the rest of Europe. Fuck you talking about? They're dysfunctional, atheist, degenerate society. No, they're not trad. They're not trad Christian. And so like that reeks of like Russian propaganda. And that's, I do think like Candace is probably being influenced in that way. Candace and Tucker, they're both pushing this like Satanism in the West, demons and like aliens and interdimensional beings and shit. And it's like, this was a political talk show. What are you talking about? And it's making people schizophrenic and demoralizing them and anti-West, you know, like people are being instrumentalized for foreign interests. You know who benefits first and foremost from the dissolution of NATO? Russia. So of course they would have a vested interest in like Americans being anti-NATO. Of course. And so my other favorite taglines that have come out in recent years that Nick coined is take your own side. We are not Team Russia. We are Team America first. Don't forget that. You don't need to ally yourself with all of these foreigners. Hey, we're here in America. They're over there and who the fuck knows where. We're American. Okay? It's America first. So. Anyway. You think we're going to attack Iran? It looks like it. I think we moved more tankers into the region. New Discord owner, Humam Bikini, is from Israel, but it doesn't say he is Muish. I guess he is Israeli Arab. Freaky looking, though. I mean, look, man. Put two and two together. Just the fact he's Israeli. It's just, it reeks of Unit 8200. Pretty creepy. Lots of vitamins they sell in stores aren't good quality. It's a massive rabbit hole when you start looking into it. That is true. You don't need to be Jewish to be a Zionist. No, you don't. But I mean, like, who benefits the most from Zionism? Jews. So just look at interests. Look at it from the view or the perspective of, or lens of who benefits. They're really pushing the Red Scare. I don't have any beef with Russians. Yeah, neither do I. I don't want to be instrumentalized by Russian propagandists to like do out their foreign policy. Like, fuck off, dude. Yeah, Ukraine. And I'm not pro-Ukraine either. But I want America to dominate the world. And so it's, if we own Europe, if we own Ukraine, and I mean genuinely own them, like not simply as like a proxy war or, you know, not like the international institutions own all these countries. I mean like America as an empire owns all these other countries. That's actually a good thing for us in principle. So I hope your fortune cookie sweatshop work appeasing my collagen powder. Okay, I'm good. That's you're out of line. Russia died with the Tsar. It's a Kippo-loving government, much like China's no longer Chinese. All their cultural treasures went to Taiwan. The CCP is mooish. I don't know if I go that far. I mean, you had a lot of Jewish technocrats that like did their best to infiltrate China, you know, in the mid-century. You know, like, what was it? Like Ben Shapiro's, was his grandfather was a like Chinese diplomat. So that is true. But I think China is far more like, if I were to like, they're like far more Chinese nationalist than I would say like completely owned by the Jays. Yeah, I don't think that's necessarily entirely true. I think there's some influence there, but kind of hard to completely escape it. And China has done a much better job, like, suppressing foreign influence in their country. That's one of the reasons why they have so much censorship. So, I think if anything, they're more like National Socialist. If I were to put any kind of like, ideological label on their system over there. Russian Orthodox Christian. Putin is building more mosques than Ortho cathedrals. Yeah, and he's importing 1 million Indians. Like, he's not based, bro. I don't listen to Candace Owens much. Yeah, neither do I. I lose IQ points. Did you... Okay, this one hurt. This one hurt. Did you guys see this? Did you guys see this?
We also learned that last night a bomb squad and agents from the Bureau of Alcohol and Tobacco, Firearms, the ATF, obviously. What is the Bureau doing? Has anybody traced this down? Were you brought into an FBI bureau? Who's a former Bureau of Prison?
Bureau?
Bureau.
Chief, because there is a bureau
Bureau.
that has been corrupt. Rebuilding this bureau.
Bureau. Bureau. Bureau.
Like, this is one you just get from watching TV. If you watch enough TV, you'll know how to pronounce this fucking word. Like, literally, how? Bro? How? Did you just never see it spelled out? It's like... It's actually fucking up my own vocabulary, dude. I swear. Call Putin an ortho is cope. It is. He's appealing to like the Western right wing to come off as more trad, so you support him in his conquest against the West. He's not the West. He resents the West. Time to drive home in the rain with no windshield wipers. Wish me luck. Just stick your arm out and like wipe off the fucking windshield. Do one of those. That's crazy. Good luck though. Don't die. All the small hats tell me to hate Russia. I gotta support Russia. Then is it? Don't be retarded. Okay. Is it that easy? Just reverse psychology? Is that all it takes? The Jews tell me not to jump off the bridge. What do they know? Agartha's down there. I'm jumping off. I need to know. I'm coming, Hitler. Like, really? Really? Is reverse psychology all it takes? They tell me to believe one thing, so I believe the exact opposite. It's like, dude, and that's like the reflexive response. That's why people were like, that is something I've noticed. Like, just because you're opposed to something doesn't mean you need to be in favor of the opposite or the opposition to the thing you're opposed to. A lot of people were opposed to the war in Ukraine, so they reflexively became pro-Russia. No, actually, you don't have to do that. No, nowhere is it stated that you have to do that. That you have to be Team Russia because you're critical of the war in Ukraine. That's like, come on now. That's like 101 shit. That's like how not to get psyoped 101. I never supported this proxy war against Russia to begin with, especially since our government is anti-white, anti-Christian anyway. You think Russia is really any different? Russia hates the West, dude. They don't like Europeans. Hello? Russia and the rest of Europe have been at war non-stop for like 200 fucking years. What are you talking about? There is so much animosity that like Americans just are not clocking between like the rest of Europe and Russians. They are not Western. I am telling you. Just because we are not in favor of the Ukraine war doesn't mean that we should be pro-Russia. That's silly. Pokemon cards selling for 16 mil nowadays? Oh, for real? That's crazy. If our government is against me, then I can't support it. It's a little more complicated than that. I'm not fighting for the Epstein elite world order. That's not what anyone's telling you to do, though. In other words, West. Okay, so like I'm going to tell you right now, you've been effectively psyop. Hawker, you have been effectively psyop to be like anti-West because you think it's just like fundamentally it's fucked. Like, yeah, I wouldn't go to war for this country, this regime either. But it's not like it's the personnel that's the problem. You are still in the same boat. You are still in the West. So if the West sinks, you go down with it. Like, we live in reality. We live in the real world. If the West is toppled, if a new global hegemon takes its place, you're going down with the ship, man. Yeah, we need to replace many of these elites. I agree with you, but I'm going to be pro-America. I'm going to be pro our own side. We have to get our shit in order here, but it doesn't mean we're going to help, we're going to hand over the keys to the castle to some foreign country. That's insane. They're like repurposing your grievances that you have against our political elite, against like our government, for their own means. You understand that you are being instrumentalized for foreign means. And Russia's not the only one doing this. Israel's the most popular one that's doing this. But like pretty much all of these countries are doing this to some degree. This is how it works. So back in the day, I thought America was always fighting for good. America's not fighting for good. It's fighting for evil. That's like a very simplistic way to look at it. It's like the world is not what is this, like the Marvel Avengers? It's great power politics. It's who wants to run the world, essentially. They're fighting for power over the fucking world. It doesn't mean Russia's good. It doesn't mean like one of these, like, it doesn't even necessarily mean that of course they want you to believe America's evil and that they're good. Is that really as simple as it is? Like Russia's doing all kinds of evil, degenerate things. There's more open Satanism in Russia than there is in America, and it's not even close. It's not even fucking close. It's like, I follow like professional Counter-Strike, and you look at a lot of these like Russian players, up and coming like young players, and you look at like their Steam groups, and a lot of them are in like open, like Satanist Steam groups. They have like 666 in their fucking name. That's like a big thing over there, man. And you have a lot of these training shooters in America that are being groomed by one of these Satanist groups that are of Russian origin. The Order of Nine Angles. It's like, so it really doesn't matter anyway, because the US continues to lose this proxy war against Russia. The US is winning against Russia, dude. The US is winning. Like, yeah, Russia is doing all right. Like, their economy is not going to collapse because they have all of their essential resources that they need. They have steel, they have natural gas, they have oil. They have plenty of arable land, so they've got food. like they'll be okay, but they've lost a considerable number of troops, like a considerable portion of their military manpower. And what did America lose exactly? A bunch of Ukrainians? You think we give a shit about a few Ukrainians? You think the people in like the State Department or the DOW care about a bunch of dead Ukrainians? They don't. They see that as a win. Like, we got Russia to send hundreds of thousands of their guys to go die, right? Billions of dollars in their military hardware, their tech, their infrastructure. And what did it cost us? Billions of dollars, and Ukrainians that are not American and not in NATO. So they lost a bunch of hard power. We expended some of our soft power. So remember they always said that Donald Trump was a Russian puppet. The truth was Donald Trump has always been an Israeli puppet. They always lie about Russia. Yeah, and again, Russia's a lot closer to Israel than most people understand. Candace or Tim Pool, who is worse? Candace, 100%. I never did like Tim Pool. He's always been a little neocon. I don't think he's not really a neocon. He's just liberal. I don't think he's neocon. He's really, if anything, he's like a libertarian. The Gopher. Oh fuck, dude. Yeah, that's why they call us Goyim. Yeah, well, Candace is just a dumb token, so. Fuck, man. It's making me dumber. Actually, like, covering Candace is making me dumber. It's worsening my own vocabulary. It's painful. It's giving me a headache. That is now embedded in my subconscious, and it's gonna come, like, I'm sure I'm gonna misspeak and say burrow at some point. Just like complimentalize. I'm like, dude, I almost said that, like, I had to stop myself because that was the first thing that came to complimentalize, and I'm like, fuck, dude. Can't be pulling a Candace Owens. It's making us all dumber. I love the Brian Johnson versus 108-year-old Italian man smoking a cigar, soaking up the sun while floating in the water meme. Wish you could post it. You can't? Oh, I don't know. Texas native Derek Huffman, who moved his family to Russia in 2024 to escape U.S. woke ideology, signed a Russian contract expecting non-combat work was deployed to the front lines in Ukraine. What a dumb goy. Oh, M-goat, it's goy. Goyim is the plural. Goy. Don't be a dumb goy and get it fucking wrong. Like, I see people saying, the dumb goyams. It's like, dude. This is why they call us goyim. Can't even get singular versus plural correct. Come on now. Come on. Come on now. Anyway. Yeah. So that was a long yap, huh? Hour and 40 minutes. That was like non-stop, dude. Notice the Candace of Yiddish. It's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah, point and laugh, everybody. Point and laugh. Expose it. Embarrass him, everybody. Yeah, if I ever say anything wrong, if I ever misspeak, I blame Candace Owens, okay? If I ever say something stupid, mispronounce a word, it's Candace's fault, okay? Last
night, a bomb squad and agents from the borough.
Oh, Ian Miles Chung. Dude, it's so fucking annoying how these people will just rip people's videos. Not even like, not quote tweet, not embed, literally rip the fucking video and repost it. That's so annoying. Oh my goodness. Chinese female streamer reported lost 140,000 followers after the beauty filter she was using suddenly malfunctioned during a live stream and revealed her real face. Bro. Everything is so fucking chopped.
Triple stacks, bitch, we clean out 100 pack. You ain't heard what I said.
Made me realize that I've never heard of any female philosopher. Here's one.
Nigga, run it back. MAGA hoe, MAGA nigga, whip a trick, hit a lick. One of them pussy ass cornbread, fuck niggas. 305, Big County, yeah, we know for getting rowdy. Spit stringing from my mouth, let you fuck my face. Triple stacks.
So true. So true. So true. So true. She was spitting there. More ways than one. Crazy. Maturing is realizing they're all stone cold looks maxed. That cat is pretty cute. She's not. Oh, that's Sniper Wolf, right? And yeah, Emiru and Mizkif. Only the terminally online would know that. Yeah, dude. I'm gonna say something so brave and controversial, but dude, a lot of guys are overrating Asian women. Like, it's kind of bizarre. I see a lot of like decent looking guys with absolutely like chopped Asian bitches. I'm like, what are we doing? What are we fucking doing right now? What are we doing right now?
My biggest point of contention recently has been online dating. And I've been really getting my ass handed to me, and it's put me in a really bad state of mind. This shit is getting under my skin, and I tried to make this video already. This is take number 2. I was so mad. I turned red after about 2 minutes of fucking thinking about online dating.
Good.
Just stop texting you out of nowhere. Like, you'll just be texting a girl, having a normal conversation. Just no reply. Casper the Ghost. But you do me the courtesy of, after all these fucking conversations and text messages that I don't even want to fucking... You think I would have talked about your fucking hobbies? On these apps, these girls are doing it as a complete fucking waste of your time. It's a video game to them. Literally, swiping on Tinder for girls is a video game. It's a dopamine hit. It is to boost their fucking egos. I'm telling you, it is nothing more than that.
A lot of women, quite frankly, they just want to like reject men on these apps. They want to feel like, because in reality, because the phone is not reality. In reality, they wouldn't reject a lot of these chats. Only in this world, in this matrix world of their dating app, do they have that opportunity to feel good about themselves. It's an ego boost. So, women who wear fake eyelashes are hiding something. Women love the attention. They do. Local corner store guys are the real ones. Would he help you out, Smelly? Fix your windshield wipers. Online dating is completely skewed in the favor of women in every metric possible. Yep, it is. It's completely skewed. And that's where a lot of this data is coming from. Like, it is like the Tinder data that shows women, all 85, 90% of women or whatever, gravitate to the top 10 to 15% of men. And if you're not in that category, you're cooked. Okay? So lock the fuck in, guys. Lock the fuck in. Looks max. Ascend to the best of your abilities. Status max. Money max. Otherwise, it's like, it's over. Don't simp. Understand. If you have to rewatch this stream to get it, you just need to understand the nature of women. It's like, in a certain sense, it is biological. They can't help it. You know, barbarians just raided their village. They're the first ones to flip. They always wait at the finish line. They want to be with the winners. They want to be with the victors because they want their kids to have the best chance at success. They want the best genetics, and they want the best environment for their offspring. It means being around winners, people with money, status, power, and good genetics. So, and that's just across the board, for the most part. So if you start there, you'd be much better off than starting from the opposite and assuming women are like romantic types, you know, that they're loyal and faithful and believe in like a lot of the stuff you believe in terms of like true love and commitment to their partner. Like, women think true love is like just the hottest guy they can possibly get. That's true love for them, you know? Like, or like to a delusional degree. They'll work backwards, you know? They're fickle, they're all over the place. They'll be into it 1 second, they'll ghost you the next. It's like they're not rational. So, what are signs of a ran through woman? A lot of times she'll tell you if she's ran through. It's kind of jarring, like how often women will just like openly talk about their sex life. You know, it's becoming like a much more common thing. Like, I had like coworkers that were talking about like in like graphic detail. It's like, okay, you know, wow, geez, is that a flex? Is that supposed to be a flex? You know, like, oh, you get laid. It's like, it's easy for women. Like, you walk into a club, you know, you shake some ass. That's literally all you have to do. The idea that women could ever really be lonely is just like ridiculous. You know, only until they're like, they've hit the wall. A lot of times if she's combative, if she's a bitch, if she's very bossy and like masculine, those are red flags. You know, you can, for her dating history, you got to look at red flags, and you have to consider like her environment, who she is. Like, if she's an e-girl, don't even bother. It's cooked. She's a hoe. She's famous. She's online and she's got guys all over the place in her DMs around the fucking world. You know, you're gonna have to deal with some Saudi prince or some guy with the fucking podcast or whatever in her DMs, you know, offering to fly her out or whatever. And that just creates a lot of opportunities for these hoes to be hoes. So when you look at a lot of these female influencers, there's just opportunity all the time to cheat. Because that's like their whole job, is to go out, be influencers, be social, go to a party, drink. They're going to be around other guys, high status guys that want to fuck. They get drunk, and then you get Sarah Stock and Elijah Schaefer. You know what I'm saying? E-girls, not even once. Not even once. So, yeah, like, so like how online they are, what kind of like social media profile they have, like how much of a footprint is another big one. If she's got like a big Instagram following, it's a red flag. But you also have to be a little like self-aware too. Let's be real for a second. Let's say you're a 6 out of 10, you're a normie or high tier normie, and you're dating like an 8 out of 10. 8.5, let's say. Let's say you really pulled above your weight class. And let's say you're making maybe $100,000 a year. Do you really realistically think like you could hold on to that girl if the right guy came in? You know what I mean? If the right guy came into her life, you're in trouble. That's where you do have to be realistic here and be like, you know, could I hold on to this girl? And maybe she has a number of green flags that, you know, maybe she is really is a good girl. One girl is worth 1,000 bitches. That they're out there. You know, I'm not saying they don't exist, but the temptation will always be there. And so a lot of it is to like, because women are weak-willed, like just prevent occasions where that kind of thing can happen. Don't let your girl go to the fucking club. Don't let your girl go on like solo business trips on podcasts where people are going to be drinking and you got a lot of like dudes that want to fuck her around her. Like common fucking sense. Women are weak-willed and they're gonna cheat. If the right guy comes in, it's very difficult for women to say no. In general, it's a lot harder for women to say no than for men to say no to women, I think. In many of these instances, I should clarify. So, yeah, there's a lot of signs, and if someone's run through, and you know, it's not fucking rocket science. If you can't figure it out, you're in trouble. Young guys are all demoralized when they keep striking out on Tinder. Yeah, they're just not interested in dating, you know? And I like I said, I think this is this could, where a guy's gonna go then, you know? They're gonna turn more towards pornography and stuff. That's gonna make more trans people, more dysfunction. And a lot of them are just gonna become violent. You're gonna get more supreme gentlemans. I'm deltoid maxing. How the delts looking? I didn't hit the gym today. I went yesterday though. Back day. Not really a great angle, you know, not really showing off the pecs or anything at this angle. Kind of look kind of small. Maybe because it's like a downward angle. It's kind of making my head look a little big. Like I got a gigantic fucking head that doesn't really match the frame, you know. That's like more, this is like more proportional in line with the camera. Yeah, I gotta hit the gym harder. I'll do some cardio tonight, I think, before I go to bed. Big piece of advice, if you only have like 30 minutes to work out, I recommend cardio. It's great. It's good for your debloating. It's good for obviously losing weight. Just being in like a state, like conditioning your body to cardio, it's just, it raises your metabolism. So it's like, people call it the afterburn effect. But you do burn more calories the more cardio you do, even if you're not actively doing cardio. It's like you're elevating like your like baseline. I'm trying to make this as like simple as possible. It's like you're elevating your baseline energy consumption, so to speak. Also, because your body has to recover. So don't skip on cardio. You know, a lot of people, they start lifting and then they kind of neglect cardio. It is very important. I don't really believe in like bulking and cutting, to be honest. I think that's kind of signs of a not great diet. It's definitely easier and it's probably faster to gain muscle when you're bulking because you want to be in a caloric surplus. But you do want to minimize like the amount of fat that you're consuming. And so you want to stay lean and you can build muscle while staying lean. That is 100% possible. If you just have if you hit your macros. And I'm not like a food prep. I don't do like food prep or anything. I'm not tracking my macros. But if you hit your macros, get a lot of protein, and stay in some kind of caloric surplus, then you build muscle. And then that's where your calories are going to go. They're going to go to building muscle because your muscles are torn because you worked out. They have to rebuild. It's harder. It's a lot harder to do that, to build muscle while staying lean. It's definitely doable. And I don't. Dude, when I get a little bit of extra something going on down here, I hate it. I don't know how people can be obese. I feel it. I feel the reverberations. I just feel like a fat, disgusting piece of shit when I get a little bit of this, you know? Can't do it. I just can't do it. Anyway. Good little mixed race kids. What are we talking about, mixed race kids? No, what if you get a woman, you get married, have kids, but 10 years later you find out she has more partners than she told you? What do you do? I don't know, man. I mean, look, it's, I don't know. I wouldn't appreciate the dishonesty, but it's like, I don't know. At that point, you know, how is the marriage going? You feel me? How is the marriage going? Like, obviously I'm not going to be happy with that, but if I have a few kids, it's like, you know, you're kind of locked in at that point. In a certain sense, some of that is my fault for not properly vetting her before I marry her. You feel me? Kind of like if your girl cheats on you with like your best friend, a lot of that is your fault for you know, trusting not just one but two untrustworthy people. You know what I mean? That's kind of, you are not, I know you're the victim, but you have to choose very wisely who you trust. You have to be smart about it. But women lie about that shit all the time. I don't know. I don't think you're, you know, these like mythical women with 0 body count, you know, they're tough to find. And the longer you wait, or the longer she waits, I guess, the less likely she is to be like pure or whatever. Thoughts on Diamond Jim? Have I seen their videos? No, I've never seen their videos. I got a big head. What the fuck? Big head? That's crazy. Really be your own people sometimes. And those weird small hair comb over on the forehead. What are we talking about? Comb? What? He made it home fine and walked to the store. He was outside smoking a ciggy and chatted for a bit. That's nice. I guess I missed that somehow. The Norwegian 4x4 workout. It's 30 minutes, but very good for you. Do I believe in fasting? Yeah, I think fasting is good for you. Intermittent fasting. It's supposed to be good for like cellular regeneration. It's also good if you're trying to lose weight as well. I just like eat 1 or 2 meals a day, and I'll often go 18 to 20 hours between meals. So I do think it's good in general. It helps prevent yourself from overeating. Bulking and cutting is for guys on gear. It's for guys that are not like, don't have like optimal nutrition. Like they don't have the most optimal diet, and you know, they are just willing to like eat a bunch of fucking donuts and stuff. And you know, it's maybe you can gain more muscle that way. I don't think it's the healthiest option, and you have to go through a period of being like chubby. Is that something you really want to do? I don't want to do that. I don't think it's the healthiest thing in the world either. You want to be lean. You want to be low body fat percentage. HIIT is key. What is that? Speaker is getting the turkey. What? The what? The what the fuck? The what? Go look up Diamond Gym. Their whole thing is failure till you die. No water, no breaks. Push up in between sets. No closing your eyes. No sitting breaks. That sounds like bullshit. Diamond Gym.
Today I'm trying the most controversial workout at Diamond Gym.
Champ, rip his shirt.
What? Oh, what? Oh, wait, go! And when I say this gym is controversial, I'm not exaggerating, as the workouts here are so intense that even some of the biggest names in the fitness industry have called them psychotic, dangerous, and borderline impossible.
Is bro, you wanna go home?
And at the center of it all is a guy named Unk.
Fight, don't disappoint because you want
Yeah, I don't know if I'm trusting these guys. You know, dude. Yeah, nah. I think this is some bullshit. Look, man. Rest is important between sets. You're not going to. You're not going to get the most out of your set if you're tuckered out when you start it. You're just not going to be able to move as much weight. And so if you can't move as much weight because you're tuckered out, because like the rest, your cardio can't keep up, then are you really like, yeah, you should go to failure. If that's what we're talking about, yeah, try to go to failure. Try to design, you know, your workout, your set, choose a weight and rep count so that you're going to or near failure. Even if you have to do like half reps, right? You know, there's a little bit more in the tank that you got. That's good. But you shouldn't be like fucking puking and shit. I don't know if that's what they're... Yeah, like no closing, no sitting breaks. I don't know about all that. I mean, it's definitely easy. Look, you don't want to cool down in the middle of your workout. If you take too long, you're cooling down, and you know, your heart rate lowers, and now you're kind of lowering your energy. You want to stay in it for sure, but you don't want to tucker yourself out and stay tuckered out. If you're gassed, it's like, I don't think you're going to get the best workout. Just do more cardio. If that's the goal, just split up your workout, do cardio afterwards, you know? And then just like blast through that. It's also like, what are you trying to accomplish? Is it weight loss? Is it fat loss? Or are you really trying to build up cardio, like build up your heart strength? Because they're similar, but not quite the same thing. Like, and I'm not an expert on this. I was wondering the same thing. Like, some people believe that actually going at a slower, less strenuous pace is better for fat loss, or high intensity is better for cardio during your cardio workout, right? During your whatever, your bike or your cycling, your elliptical, your run. I don't know the exact answer to that one, but Larry Wheels went to the hospital after the workout. Jeez. Yeah, I don't think you should go to the fucking hospital after you work out. That's kind of doing more harm than good. Rest is very important. A very important part of the gym going process, you know? Rest is crucial. You're not going to build muscle. You're not going to recover if you're constantly gassed, right? If you're constantly straining your body like that. The cell regen buff from fasting only occurs after like 40 hours of continuous fasting. It takes a lot. Yeah, I've done like 40... What's the longest fast I've done? I've done like 48. I think 3 days. I think I did 72 hours. I don't know if it's like... if I noticed too much of a difference, but it's supposed to be good for your cells. I saw some it's been like a year or so or whatever since I like... But there's like different like timelines of like the fasting routine and like what you can potentially gain from it. But yeah, I did like a water only fast. Only water, only like black coffee. Wasn't super pleasant, but it wasn't impossible. They yelled at some African guy for drinking water. Yeah, like you gotta drink fucking water, bro. You have to rehydrate. The fuck? Every set is still failure. Yeah, I think this is some bullshit. Just take more pre-workout. Yeah, true. Biometrics are good after a workout. Bello, do you think of prison workouts? They get you buff quick. Dude, I think the thing about prison workouts is that's all they fucking can do, man. They're in prison. Hello? Like, okay, it's not the workout that they do in prison per se. It's the fact that's all they can do. You like eat, you wake up, you eat, and then you hang out in the prison yard and everybody's, you know, lifting weights. It's like, well, what you're in a fucking cell. You can either like read a book. These guys can't fucking read. You know, you can socialize with these people. These people are antisocial. You're in a prison. So what do? You fucking lift weights. That's why they're so buff. Not because they have some secret tech. They have some secret techniques, some secret workouts that the fucking influencers don't want you to know. It's because it's all they do. It's 72 hours, no calories. It was like either 48 or 72. Something. Yeah, I think it was it? I think it was 72. I think it was Friday, Saturday, and then I ate on Sunday. Like Saturday, Sunday. Yeah, so it was, I think, 72. But like I said, because I already like intermittent fast, just it's how I am. I eat 1 to 2 meals a day. Really one big meal. It wasn't that difficult. If you went from eating like 3 meals a day, it would be a lot more difficult. But yeah, it's supposed to be good for you. I'm not an expert on that though. Kind of just wanted to see if I could do it, you know? But I wouldn't tell somebody like that had like fucking cancer, like, you tried fasting? Like, I don't, I'm gonna, you know, I don't think it's like a miracle practice to fast. I don't think it's gonna like solve all your health problems. I think it's more so for like helping your gut biome. Also helping, I think, your dopamine. A lot of people, their dopamine is tied to like their eating habits. So it's like a good reset. I don't know how esoteric I'd get with like the benefits of fasting. No. Victor actually knows these diamond gym guys and he says they're crazy. Yeah, no shit, they're fucking crazy. If people are going to the fucking hospital after working out, that's kind of like the whole point of going to the gym is to get healthier, right? Or at least in general. So if you have to go, if you go to the hospital after the fact, isn't that kind of like counterproductive? Doesn't that defeat the whole purpose? So Muslims fast and they still have issues. Well, a lot of Muslims are inbred. I think that's where a lot of their health issues come from. So yeah, I don't think fasting is going to like cure all your problems, but I think there's some benefit. Intermittent fasting really is to, if anything, the way I look at it is it's to help prevent you from overeating. And because you don't want to be like bloated all day, because every time you eat a meal, you do go through like this refractory period where it's like you're tired. You want to take a nap. Time to take a nap. And so if you're constantly in that period, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, it's like you're going to be sleepier, you know, because you're using more energy to digest food. That's why it's good to also like take a walk after you eat, you know, get a little, you know, that helps with your energy too. Yeah, they don't eat pork, yeah. So
Disappoint yourself.
Who, unfortunately for me, is gonna be my coach for the day. But before we can meet him, we gotta meet his right-hand man.
I'm a good cop, and I'm just like bad cop.
remember, a lot of these people, a lot of influencers are also on steroids. So just keep that in mind. So if somebody like is big, I'm not saying they didn't put the work in, but it's like a lot of these guys, you know, they're like, buy my program, you can get big like me. And it's like, yeah, but you're on steroids, you know? You're taking some shortcuts. You're not being fully transparent here. Maybe I could get big like you if I were taking your same stack, but yeah.
I want
It's alarming. A lot more people in the gym, just like regular normies, are on fucking steroids. One study said it was like 1 in 6 people. And you look at the gym and it's not like every guy in there is a fucking meathead, you know? I think that number is going to go up though. And that's, again, that's what comes back to what we were talking about earlier with Clavicular. It's like, dude, kind of accelerating the transhumanism. You know, people are like, dude, we're cooked. Gotta hop on the peptides, gotta hop on the steroids, because otherwise you're gonna get left behind. I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm saying I think that that's what a lot of people are gonna do. And it's like, okay, I'll say this, I'll couch that by saying it's like one thing if, like, you know, it's like being administered by like a doctor, maybe you're an older guy, and you're trying to bring your testosterone into a healthy level. That's one thing. That's not what people are juicing. They're juicing their testosterone through the fucking roof. And that causes all kinds of problems that they try to offset with other pharmaceuticals. The hair loss, they'll hop on the minoxidil and the finasteride. And those have side effects that causes fertility problems. So they'll hop on another stack to try to like solve those issues. And those all have side effects, and those side effects, all these this chemical cocktail is potentially interacting with other elements of it. And so you're like this like human centrifuge, this human catalyst of all these different drugs that people are pumping into their body. And it's like, well, who knows how these things might all interact with one another. It's like one thing to do each of these things in isolation, but when you're doing it all at the same time, you know, think of the chemistry that you're subjecting your body to. Things react with one another. So this Hattie guy is on steroids. He's admitted it. Was it that guy? I at least appreciate people who are honest about it. You know, people who are transparent. I think that's a step in the right direction. You could say at the same time though that kind of normalizes it, but because yeah, a lot of people die from this stuff. They die early. They have all kinds of health complications down the line from steroid use, infertility, you know, or they're only pumping out like daughters. So yeah, it can cause real damage. David Lade is half natty. What does that mean? That guy's like obviously on roids. Go to any gym, you can find steroids. Yeah, you can if you just like, you know, if you really want steroids, you can find them. So. They should just legalize it and make it domestically. Nothing from China. That's crazy. Consuming mystery pills from China. I mean, like, people are doing fent from China. Like, where does fentanyl primarily come from? It comes from China. You know? People are doing shit from India. Like, bro. But I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, to be honest. It's like, I'm somewhat ambivalent because on the one hand, I look at somebody like Clav and I'm like, Faustian spirit, that's who we are. We're conquerors, pioneers. We push the fucking limits. We see what's possible. If we don't like reality, we bend it to our will. That's pretty badass, I'm not gonna lie. On the flip side of things, it's like, at what cost? You know? Who is this for? Is it worth our humanity? Is it worth... Maybe some things you can't change, and we shouldn't try to mess with things beyond our control or our understanding. You know, we'll create man-made horrors beyond our comprehension. It's almost like it's in our nature. It's the consequence of being shackled to the flesh. Our own mortality. Our own, you know, perverseness. Our own lust and these inclinations that are a byproduct of being these mortal beings that cause us to do these things. It's the push things into the unnatural in an effort to escape it, or really to transcend it, to transcend these shackles. And it's like, in many ways our bodies are like this prison, you know? Forget steroids. Where do I get the nanomachines? Nanomachines, son. Matt Ogus coined the phrase half natty as a joke. Oh, okay. I don't know ball like that, I guess. I read somewhere that women like the soccer player look, not too big, but still have muscle. Lean is law. Lean is law. That's why I think if you only have like 30 minutes, let's say, for a workout, and you don't have anything in particular in mind, just do cardio, dude. Just try to lose weight. Try to be as lean as possible. You know, you look at a lot of these runner bodies and they're like super low body fat. And my hair's kind of fucked up now. You know, they're like super low body fat. That is the law. Because you're also like improving your face too if you're leaner. That's how you get the more chiseled, defined jawline, the hollow cheeks, is by being low body fat. So you're kind of killing two birds with one stone. You're working on the physique and you're working on the face card too. So. Also, when you get huge, you attract the worst women. I guess what kind of huge are we talking about? You know? We're talking like big gut, like I can lift the fucking semi-truck kind of big. We're talking like Arnold Schwarzenegger big. Because I think it's what's more important as far as the aesthetics go, and this is like what Ziz was all about. Was the aesthetics, was the proportionality, that like the Dorito, the broad shoulders and very like super thin skinny waist, you know, and super low body fat. So yeah, like you are these steroid guys, bodybuilder. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can be too big. And that like kind of affects the portion, because then your head can look small, you know, and then you know there are consequences to that. So it's aesthetics are king first, you know. Not the size is like, you want to like, if you're gonna frame mog somebody, you know, like, yeah, if you're like 6'5", you're gonna height mog somebody that's like 6'2". And just by being bigger and taller, you're going to make somebody else look smaller and weaker, you know? Look at that headphone dent. That's like crazy. You honestly think Clav is going to be alive in 10 years at the path he's going at? I don't know how aggressive his stack is. Maybe. Because he's doing a lot of stuff. Like, he's doing at least test I don't know, like how, like I don't know if he's eating trenbolone sandwiches. You know what I'm saying? Tren is usually like that next level shit. That's like you're kind of on the clock if you're doing that. But he's also doing all these amphetamines, stimulants. He's trying to offset that with other things, and there are all kinds of potentially hidden consequences to that are not documented, especially when you mix things together. That's like maybe the bigger risk is when you mix things together, you know, because you're an organic body and you're putting a bunch of chemicals that could react with one another or cause all kinds of unintended consequences. Like maybe, you know, one drug, and that's maybe a bit of the problem when you try to counteract all the side effects with other drugs. You know, an increase in blood pressure, you take a blood thinner or something, or like that's why I think he takes like Cialis. And so, well, what are the consequences of that? What are the side effects of that? And it's like, you know, you might not fully understand until like the autopsy comes out, you know? That Togi guy was, I know about Togi. The same stuff as Clav, and his blood test indicated a 50-year-old man in his 20s. Yeah, that's cooked. Yeah, and a lot of people think, a lot of guys think, well, I'm not retarded, that's not going to happen to me, and then it happens to them, you know? Everybody fucking thinks that, you know? Everybody reacts differently to steroids. We need to see Clav's blood work. Yeah, that is true too, you know? It's not a one-size-fits-all solution. If he's getting, and I think he's getting pretty regular blood work done. So that's the best way to do it if you're gonna do it is, you know, have some kind of medical assistance or guidance as you embark on that. You know, if you're just some guy doing like ripping Clav's stack and like doing steroids in your ass on your own, it's like it's probably not gonna end well for you. I'm 100% healthy, will live to 109. Imagine he health mogs all these people. All these like naturalists. You just gotta sun your balls, bro. He just fucking mogs them with like all these peptides and drugs and steroids and shit. Yeah. But I don't know. To be honest, I'm not optimistic. Oh, is there a new post from? Oh no, I read this all already. What is this? Dude, I don't know if do I want to do this. I don't want to talk about Candace. You've got to appreciate. That's great grammar. To appreciate the irony of a company that literally employed me for years now referring to me as a DEI hire. What does me being black have to do with anything happening right now? Why are you referring to your race at all? Because you are a DEI hire. Dude, this uppity bitch. Laundry Queen. Great account. Groiper mom. The autistic tiptoe walk. Damn, I guess you could get like a few more inches, you know? Or like another like inch if you just walk on your toes. If you just stay on your toes at all time, you could get another like half inch. Larry Wheels is a fool. Yeah, he's cooked, bro. Yeah, it's at that point, like, I hope Larry Wheels' wife just divorces him and takes half his shit. Fucking seriously, like, there was something else I wanted to look at. Like, hang on, I gotta find it. I think I might watch later. I have so much bullshit in here. No, where? What would it be under? It was. What was it? It's George Janko. Prenup. This is some of the worst fucking advice. Worst fucking advice.
I remember when we were getting married. In my brain, I was like, I'm gonna get a prenup.
Yeah, I think
and so I go up to her and I said, hey, Belle, I just want to let you know, like, just from the jump, I'm getting a prenup.
Yeah.
And she was like, yeah, absolutely.
I figured, because that's how the world works.
And again, dude, this is such a humiliating aspect to be in. It wasn't my Christian friends that woke me up. It was a freaking dude that doesn't even believe in God. And he just goes, what? And I go, yeah, he's a millionaire. So I thought he was gonna be on my side of things. And this is what got me. He goes, I could never ask her to do that. It would feel so unsafe for her. And as soon as he said the word unsafe, in my brain, I said, wait a second. She spends her life with me. She makes me a meal. She sacrifices everything. My kids are gonna depend on her. Everything that I do is for her. And then right before I make a promise to God, her father, and her, I say, hey, could you sign this piece of paper? Because all of that pile of dirt over there that I would set on fire for you, I wanna make sure that if you piss me off, that I could walk away and grab all of that. And in my brain, I go, oh, I just literally told God that all this materialistic things is worth more than his daughter. And I went up to her and I said, hey, by the way, we're not doing that prenup thing. And bro, she cried. That broke me, dude. Because then I realized that, like, dude, a girl's not gonna be like, yeah, no, I totally feel unsafe and I'll definitely sign it. Thanks so much for that.
It was never an issue for me because same thing. It's like, that's what the world tells you. That's what you're supposed to do. I cried. That touched me so much because in my heart, if something ever happens to us, I'm gonna be way too heartbroken to even think about the materialistic things. I don't care about the materialistic things. If we don't end up working out, that's a hurt for me. Like, we're over. Like, I can't think of anything past that.
I remember when we were
This is like the worst fucking advice. This is like catastrophically bad advice, dude. There's so many things fucking wrong with this. First of all, why are you taking moral advice from an atheist? That's number one. Okay. Second of all, it's like, okay, if you get divorced, nobody is saying you like can't give her money. Nobody is saying, like, that's on you, dude. Like, if you want to help your wife out or your ex-wife or whatever, like, you can do that. What the fuck? So that's just, the logic is just painful. But here's the thing. Why would you create, and he's thinking about this backwards, okay? First of all, he's simping for his wife. Do you understand, like, most divorces are initiated by women? Like 80% of them are initiated by women. So statistically speaking, it's more likely she's going to start the divorce process. 50% of those divorces cite financial reasons for why they're getting a divorce. So it's all about money. Okay? Why would you create an incentive for her to divorce you? If you guys are meant to be together, okay, then why should money really be a factor, right? You've got it all fucking wrong. All wrong. And this is like, dude, you just want to like fucking, this whole like Christian simps, man. You gotta stop. You gotta knock this shit off. Seriously, this is some of the worst advice. Player Wheels is a fool. You guys know chemistry with his wife. I watched clips of Wheels on X and he got played. Low key, a lot of these huge muscle guys have low self-esteem and are simps. Yeah, I mean, they also have like body dysmorphia. They get bodies to attract women for validation. Yeah, just everything is backwards. This guy's a simp as well. Always these podcast guys getting fleeced in marriage. It's like, dude, I hope she just divorces him and takes half his shit. What are you gonna say then? Did God protect you from that, you fucking idiot? I'm just like, bro, like, just stop. What a terrible reading of like Christian morality. Just totally delusional. And it's like, of course, like, what's this, Cliff Netchell? All these like Protestant guys.
I remember
Holy cooked,
when we were getting
Holy fucking cooked. People are so stupid. Oh, Myron Gaines will come back to this clip. Just sign the fucking prenup and then like don't get divorced. Is that like, first of all, if you're Christian, like truly Christian, like what are your wedding vows? Till death do you part. What the fuck do these retards think that means? It's not till you no longer feel like it, it's till death do you part. Like literally you are, your souls are now intertwined into one. You are inseparable. So if you were gonna take the Christian stance, like that's really, divorce isn't even an option. So it's kind of like a non-issue. So you would just get a prenup anyway. If oh, bro. I don't trust Myron Gaines. Yeah, man. It's just, people are so fucking hot and cold, man. I don't like that Myron still hangs out with Larry, the numbers guy. I don't like how he crashed out on Nick. I also think Myron's kind of fucking corny. To be honest. Disappointing to see. Why is YouTube fucking up like that? I'm just very suspicious of people that crash out for Nick for one reason or another. Like he's totally the litmus test at this point. Like if you can't see that, it's either because you have some personal defect, or you're stupid, you know? A lot of guys are just jealous of Nick, and I think that's part of it. I think, you know, Myron wanted Nick on his podcast because Nick was on his generational run. Like that's good for Myron, obviously. He would be the beneficiary of a collab. And Nick, like, we was doing collabs like every week. And I think some of the crash out was because of that. You know, I think Myron really wanted Nick to like put Myron onto Ye. It's not really Nick's place to do that. Nor is it even Sneako's. I mean, it's like, you know how many, like, you have to understand something too. It's like, you know how many people want to be in the room with Ye? And how many people, like, when you're a celebrity like Ye, everyone's coming out of the fucking woodwork and wants to collab with you. That has like a business proposal, wants a little bit of what you've got, you know? So it's like, you know how off-putting it would be? Or how off-putting it is if like you think you have a genuine friendship with somebody and then that person is like introducing you to all these other people that want to like all conveniently have some like pitch, some business venture. Unsolicited, like just these clout chasers, you know, that know it's good for their brand, their relevancy if they have these collabs. And that's kind of just how things go in these spaces. And so the reality is, man, most of these friendships are not real, and they never really were. Is Nick like really friends with half of these people? No, he's not. Was he ever really friends with like Jake Shields? No, highly unlikely. And that's just how it is, you know. That's just the business. And if these were real people, if they were like, if Jake Shields, Myra, like if they were like actually good friends, then they wouldn't need the constant validation, you know, like, man, what, you know, I called you, you didn't pick up, what the fuck, man? They wouldn't crash out. A good friend, a friend you've known for years, a real friend, it's like you see them, you meet up with them, and it's like you just pick up where you left off, like nothing, like no time was lost. That's the sign of a real friendship. When somebody's crashing out, constantly needing your validation, constantly like requesting something from you, that's not like a real friendship. That's like a business. That's like a business relationship that is personal. So, should non-married guys give marriage advice? I think that's like just the wrong question, honestly. Like, just look at advice. Like, are you smart enough to like discern for yourself, or do you need somebody else to tell you these things? You know, if you need somebody else to tell you these things, you know, then yeah, maybe you should listen to all kinds of advice. Like, I think because you have good advice, like, is the advice good is the first question. Nick gives good advice. He is not married. yeah, you could say that's a hit to his credibility, but what is the logic of his argument? You know, the credentials of his argument is only one part of it. The logic, the argument he's actually making actually matters itself, and it stands on its own merit. You know, there are three parts to any argument. There's logos, pathos, and oh shit, what's the third one? Logos, pathos. What is the I'm totally blanking on this. Logos, the logic, ethos, right? So the logic of your argument, the emotional appeal to your argument, and then like the credentials of your argument. So logos is like the logic. Is your argument sound? Pathos is there an emotional appeal? Does it sort of speak to like our human condition? Any compelling argument is going to have an emotional element to it, because you need a reason to really care and feel compelled to it beyond just like pure logic. That's kind of how we operate. We are emotional creatures. And then the third one is, before I go on, like, and the reason why it's important is because, like, you know, that's how you sort of avoid going into like a strictly utilitarian society that would like we eat our own our old people. Like, as soon as somebody's no longer useful, we put them in the wood chipper, you know, to save resources. That's how you avoid those kinds of outcomes, because we do care for our loved ones, even if it isn't like a strictly utilitarian like if there is no utilitarian benefit to it. And that's kind of how we operate. We want to design a society that is sort of speaks to our own humanity, and that's not like necessarily a purely logical thing. So finally, there's the ethos, which is your like credentials. Who are you? Are you qualified to speak on a topic? Like, if some random guy is talking about how like you know, the CIA operates, well, you take that with a grain of salt. You know, likewise, you know, if it's some guy that was in the CIA for 30 years telling you how it works, has a little bit more credibility to what he's saying. Maybe that's not a great example, because there are spy games that go on and psyops, and I guess you have to be a little skeptical of anybody that was a Fed. Maybe a better example would be like maybe somebody that works in like medicine, for example. You know, like some guy that reads a bunch of white papers versus a doctor that reads white papers. You're probably going to trust the doctor because they're credentialed, because they went through the rigorous process of becoming a doctor. So they probably know what they're talking about more than just some dude. So, St. Thomas Aquinas was never married. Yeah, true. So this whole like blanket disregard, oh, you're not married, don't talk, like that's just like, you know, that's kind of low IQ. You know, you have to just use discernment. Is what they're saying doesn't make sense. Nick makes a lot of sense. He is not married, and he gets women and relationships better than most married guys. You see all these married dudes that are like total white knight simp cucks for their wives, and they're like total fucking beta losers, and nobody respects them, not even their own wives. And it's like, okay, yeah, they're married, but their advice sucks, you know, and you don't want to end up like those fucking guys. So anyway, you can't trust the CIA guys telling, yeah, that's why it's maybe not a good example. If I switch the analogy. Emotion. Are we ready for a little emotion? Joe Biden was low IQ and he still became president. Well, yeah, I mean, there's more to it than that. He's also old. I don't think like at the height of Joe Biden's, like in his peak, I don't think he was low IQ. I don't think he was a dummy. But yeah, he was like senile when he became president. That is true. But I think Trump is senile as well. Like, he's totally fucking delusional. So I guess it's Piers Morgan. Piers Morgan, this is one of those cases where I don't think Piers Morgan is necessarily low IQ. This is one of those cases where people are like gaslighting themselves. They're like, they're trying to like rewrite reality to fit their ideology. So Piers Morgan is like a beta simp, and he's trying to justify his worldview, his existence as a beta simp. And you know, he doesn't sound dumb. You know, it's easy to like call somebody you disagree with stupid, and I think he's underhanded. I think he's slimy and dishonest. And I wouldn't necessarily say he's dumb. Maybe he makes dumb arguments, but I don't, from time to time, I don't think he's stupid. Maybe a midwit, but I don't think he's stupid. You know? I think he's a little crafty sometimes with how a little sneaky. But I guess then again, so is Destiny. I think Destiny's like peak midwit. So, I'm trying to be charitable here. At Biden's peak, he was still last in his class in college. He still graduated. Biden was a puppet, never president. Yeah, I mean, yeah, whatever. He's a beta simp. He's a sellout. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I have a lot of contempt for Piers Morgan. That's why it's to me, I don't know. I don't want to call everybody necessarily low IQ. Yeah, I don't want to water down that title. Because like, if we understand what I'm saying here. Like, I'm not saying like Piers Morgan is a genius or even necessarily high IQ. He's probably a midwit. But, you know, if we call everybody stupid, I feel like that's not only is that lazy, but there's layers to this, right? You know who we also call low IQ? Candace Owens. I don't think Piers Morgan and Candace Owens are in the same ballpark of IQ, to be honest. I think like if Piers Morgan is like maybe 118, I don't know, I'm throwing numbers out, 120, I think Candace is like 100, 105. At best, 105. That's like, I think there's like a standard deviation between the two. And like when there is a difference that large, you're effectively talking through person. And we saw that with Nick and Candace. Like, she was not picking up what Nick was putting down, and it showed. Like, she was just like, so yeah, so sometimes I get tired of just calling everything low IQ or stupid, because that is like, I don't want that to be, a lot of times that is just like a deflection. And I think maybe sometimes people will use that, they're too lazy with that. I'll say that in the next Piers clip I'll react to, I'll probably call him a fucking idiot or something, you know? Maybe it's just not that serious. Maybe I'm off the mark. Who knows? I believe Kamala Harris is low IQ. Yeah, I don't think Kamala Harris is smart. Genuinely, I don't think she's smart. Piers Morgan play acts like Tucker. He knows per capita. A lot of liberals pretend like they don't know what per capita means. They pretend like they don't know how things work to prove a point. Or not to prove a point, but to shape their argument. That's why debating liberals can be a frustrating endeavor, because they just pretend like they don't know how shit works. You know, like you're telling me people don't cross the street when they see a black guy late at night wearing a hoodie walking their way. You're telling me alarm bells aren't ringing. You know, it's like dishonest. A lot of these people are bad faith. They're just dishonest. They're gonna like, I'm gonna pretend like I didn't understand what the fuck you meant by that. And it's like, okay, so how are you gonna have a conversation with these people that are just like dumbing themselves down, pretending like they don't know exactly what you're talking about? Like, that's frustrating, you know? Pierce chooses to follow dumb arguments. Candace can't help it. Yeah, that's where I think there's a difference between somebody like Candace that's legitimately dumb versus somebody like Pierce that is he's feigning it for the purpose of his rhetoric. What did Hassan Piker have to say? All these right-wingers are straight up dogs, by the way. This one even loves Nick Fuentes, but cries like a bitch anytime Israel gets brought up, even as a joke.
The weird thing where you're calling everything bad Israeli, I mean, I feel like this is just calling it Jewish with extra steps, right? I mean, like, what is the difference between calling something Israeli and calling something Jewish? Because, like, a lot of times it's like, you know,
it's kind of true.
Saying, like,
a lot of people saying Zionists. It's Israel. Expand on that a little bit.
Was like the most Israeli thing to do, or
like if you press Hassan on like the JQ, you'll watch him do fucking like mental gymnastics. He'll contort his argument into like a fucking pretzel to how it's somehow not anti-Semitic. You know what I mean? It's the same thing with like Candace and Tucker. It's not actually Jews. It's the Sabbatean Frankists. It's the nomadic Turkic tribe. Some other bullshit. The Khazarian mafia. No, I'm not anti-Semitic. No, it's not. It's okay. You know? Okay. But white supremacy is a real thing, right? It's just like not logically, it's not consistent whatsoever. Very frustrating.
Spiritually Israeli with like suing people, and like that's a very, very common Jewish stereotype. So like whenever the Venn diagram of being spiritually Israeli and being a dirty Jew, right, for the South Park thing, are a circle, right? I mean, like, well, how is this not just anti-Semitism, really?
Yeah, that's why they play these little word games, the mental gymnastics. It's Netanyahu's government. It's the Likud government. It's the Israeli Mossad. It's like, yeah, how do you think the Mossad operates? Through an extended, it was part of the Jewish diaspora. They use people like Epstein, who is, where did he operate again? Oh yeah, America, an American. How do you fit that into all of this? He's an asset. Anyway. Hummus eaters killed Jesus Christ. Tucker probably. He said something, right? What was that at TPUSA? Hummus eaters. You know what I'm talking about. Little dog whistle. Then, no, I'm not anti-Semitic. Like, dude, shut the fuck up. Just say it. That's where, like, people with these pretenses, enough. I don't like that. It's just, it's like, it's similar to, like, the people who vague post on Twitter. All these like ostensibly, knowledgeable, people, very erudite people online talking about, oh yes, as Nietzsche says, vague posting all day long, and it's like, first of all, 90% of these people haven't fucking read Nietzsche. Okay, let's start there. Nor do I think you have to read Nietzsche. Nietzsche, the way he writes, he references like all of these like esoteric, different like ideologies or like mysticism. And it's like, first of all, if you're brute forcing, like going in dry into Nietzsche and you're not looking up all of these references to like obscure Hindu mysticism or whatever, it's like, yeah, you could just read the words on the fucking page and say you read Nietzsche. But like, how much do you really need to do that? Like, you're proving that you have this knowledge base to go in dry and read Nietzsche. Yeah, I don't think these people have that actually, because a lot of the stuff isn't even pertinent anymore. And I don't think you need to like pick up and read Nietzsche's book, understand the thrust of his arguments. And I think that's actually kind of a waste of time in this day and age. Like, just get the gist of it, And like, that's like people like lazing Evelyn, like, oh, he called it. He called the Western degeneracy. And it's like, I don't think that was a difficult thing to call per se. Also, Evelyn was like this, he was like this like Indian mystic. He was an apostate of Christianity, and he was like diving into these heresies. Like, I don't really like, there's something really like off-putting about somebody that finds like Hindu mysticism compelling. That's like really off-putting to me. I think you're going in the wrong direction, I think. I don't think that's actually enlightening. It's like Dark Ages type schizophrenic nonsense. I'm not really a fan of Evola for that reason. Oh, just because he was right about the West becoming degenerate. Wow. Good one. Patton was also right about that. I guess Patton's on the same level too, right? So, yeah, people are just really like, they want to like name drop some like esoteric knowledge. Like, look, I know what I'm talking about. Bro, you know what the fuck you're talking about. And so you see a lot of these like anonymous accounts, right-wing accounts, Babsphere influencers, and they're just like midwits. They don't know what the hell they're talking about, man. A lot of those people. So you see that a lot. Just, I hate the vague posting, dude. Man, we're really in the slop, huh? Nietzsche lost his mind. I'm not sure how seriously you can take him. I mean, yeah, dude, his writing is just all over the place. And don't get me wrong, I think there are like compelling things to it. Like I don't think he would be relevant if he didn't have some meaningful insight, like the idea of the Übermenschen and the Untermensch. It's like, okay, I think there's something to that. One lens you could look at things. But I think to look at it deeper, and this goes back to Clav, it's like, I think there is inherently a hierarchy that we all instinctually recognize, you know? Lookism, genetics, it's baked into the equation. You can't get rid of it. You can't, it's very much a part of our human condition. I think a hierarchy exists, not just sort of metaphysically with God or, you know, institutionally with like the church and governments and all that, but I think very like on a personal and interpersonal level, like there is a hierarchy. Okay, and we subconsciously know this. When a big dude walks into the fucking room, it's like, don't fuck with that guy. He's big. He'll fuck you up, you know? When a smart guy, when a successful guy walks in, you're like, let's listen to what he has to say. He's smart and successful. So we recognize, like, it's kind of obvious. And I do think that there are like sort of these like subhuman slob types that just want to drag everybody else down with him. I think that's true too, these Untermenschen. And yeah, we don't need to pretend like we need to entertain absolutely everything and anything, you know, like, so anyway. Man, I did a lot of fucking yapping. My voice is starting to hurt. How you guys doing though? What are you guys thinking? What do you guys think about the yapping on this stream today? Insightful, interesting, good discussion. Have you heard some of these takes anywhere else? I don't know. I haven't heard anybody like talk about Clav as a deeper political figure beyond. People might say, oh, it's not that serious, bro. I think it is that serious. Seriously. You know, I think it is. It goes beyond just contemporary politics, and it really speaks to something deeper. We all feel this. There's like this energy, this electricity about this. It's like things are changing. You know, we're all sort of psychologically affected by Clavicular in one way or another. I do think it's bigger than just another e-celeb. The first half modeling was excellent, some of your best yet. It should be clipped. Oh, thank you. Appreciate that. I really thought about it, you know? I really just sat down and I thought. Yeah. Blackpilling? Yeah, it is kind of blackpilling in a sense, right? Because it's like, this is how things are. It's fucking brutal, man. It's fucking brutal. This is not... we are like at the cyberpunk future. We are in the Matrix. We're there. It's not 10 years from now. It's right now in 26. So yeah, it is kind of blackpilling, but that should, the way you look at Clavicular is like a reflection of your character. I'm seeing sort of two archetypes emerge. You see people that are jealous of Clav and people that are inspired by Clav. And I think it says a lot about you. I am inspired by Clav. That doesn't mean I co-sign everything he does or he endorses, but I look at something like that and I say that spirit, the Faustian spirit, the effort he put in, dude, that is, how can people not find that aspirational? You aspire to be like Clav in that way, that you can build yourself up, reinvent yourself, overcome, persevere. But then you do have to contend with reality that we're in the fucking trenches right now. If everybody looks maxes, you will be exactly where you are now. But you kind of have to bank on people not looks maxing while you looks max and get ahead. So that's why there's a white pill and there's a black pill. It's like yin and yang. The white pill is you can level up. You can do it, and you could be better off than where you were yesterday. But the black pill is, you know, that is all it's a zero-sum game, and if everyone else is looks maxing, then you're better off than where you started off. But I think, knowing human nature, most people aren't going to do that. And so if you put the effort in, you're not going to be Clav necessarily. You're not going to necessarily be a superstar. But certainly you can go from a sub 5 to like a 6 or 7, That's possible. It's totally possible, So much of looks maxing really is just getting lean, building muscle, being disciplined, and being mentally strong in that sense, and just putting in that effort. Like, you'll be way better off. And so it's kind of like you don't have a choice but to looks max, unless you were born really gifted. If you were born and you grew up to be 6'5" and you have Chad genetics and whatever. Yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting, I find the whole thing fascinating. I can go on and on and on about it. Yeah. I also don't think Clav is gay. He seems to see through Peter Thiel. I don't see him ending up like Jeff Thomas. Yeah, no, I don't think he's gay at all. And that's one of the best, I'm glad you brought that up. That is one of the most delicious developments, is he's just shitting all over like Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel tries to groom him, flies him out to New York or whatever, invites him to one of his homo parties. Even before the Milady rave, he was invited to like a Thiel party. He just shits all over Thiel, all over these people, Milady, Passage Press, Red Scare. They're all like gross, has been like chuds, and like ran through 40-year-old hoes, weird degens and trannies. Like, he just shit all over that and left. He walked the runway, went to the Milady rave, saw that Charlotte Fang was like this gross looking Indian guy, said, okay, you guys are all weird freaks, and then fucking left. Bro, she is doing so. You guys don't understand how much she's doing for the Groyper movement just by mogging all of these like subversive New York freaks. You don't understand how much she's doing for the movement just by mogging. That's like fucking incredible. So now, like, his whole operation, his whole like patronage network, the subversion, pushing JD fans, is just completely upended by like this Chad that just mocks everybody and says, nah, JD Vance is a subhuman, and then fucking leaves. Can you imagine, bro? You're trying so hard, you're investing all this time and money into like creating this network, by Passage Press, you're funding all of these outlets to try and create this air of like right wing, too cool for school aesthetics, vitalism. We're the cool guys. We're above it all. In comes Chad. Hey, Chad, can we get your attention? Chad's like, nah, you guys are all freaks, and just discredits the whole fucking operation in like an afternoon. That's like insane. Fucking insane. It's delicious. It's chef's kiss. It's a sight to behold. I know a lot of people don't understand this or don't care for this, but it is really important who these people are, because they are trying to subvert the movement. They're trying to get everybody on board, JD Vance and all that. And they're just freaks and losers at the end of the day. And that's why it's like, oh my goodness, this is delicious. This is delicious. People don't, a lot of these right wingers that are A-Log and Clav, it's like, you don't understand how much he's really doing for you, Just by existing and mogging these fucking freaks, these degenerate freaks in New York City, you don't understand. You don't understand. Crazy. It's crazy, man. Anything that restores a hierarchy, I lean into. Even Clav or Nick are killed off, the hierarchy will be restored. Yeah. That's why it's like this has ripple effects. I do think we're gonna look back on this time as like a very important inflection point in society. Sort of, because liberalism is, the cracks are there. They've been there, and this is like breaking it open. And it's like the death of liberalism, and not I shouldn't say the death, but certainly it's like a big expose on liberalism, on human nature, and sort of the natural order of things. And that's why you can't forget we are right. We're right. Our side is correct on these issues. So we have the truth on our side. That's our superpower. It's the truth. So based tail, yes, it's also based. Clav laughs about taking 15K for that night, and he didn't even stay. He told Prada the doll to get him a sandwich. Yeah, it's so fucking funny, man. Base take, yeah. Oh, base take. Well, yeah, that also works. It's so fucking funny. Pariah the doll, this like tranny degen that like transitioned, detransitioned, and then transitioned again or something. Too much to keep track of. Was like super chatting Nick's show even. Yeah, just gets like fucking told off by like the hottest e-celeb at the moment, you know? It's insane, man. It's like, wow, this is, you love to see it. So, yeah. Fry the doll copes that Clav didn't know who she/he was. Yeah, it's just like, dude, all these like, who are these fucking people? They think they're hot shit. That's the thing. It was like a huge hit to their ego because they have these little clubs, you know, the Sovereign House, the In Club. We're trendy New Yorkers. We're trendy millennials. And here you have the hottest e-celeb at the moment, half these people's fucking age, saying, "Who are you people? Get away from me, you freak." Like, that's just, you can't. That's awesome. And Basil, you know, Basil is loving this, you know, because he's New York. He's, you know, this New York socialite. He's a lawyer. He's this like gay Muslim apostate. You know, kind of personally scored, I'm sure, by many of these people. So he's a good person to follow for a lot of like the inside baseball on these networks. This BAP network, particularly in New York, because that's where he is. So he's a good. And I think that's why, like, you know, him and Nick get along because like he has real insight. He has real takes. It's not like just like rhetorical slop like a lot of people have. You know, I know like people might say, why do you follow Basil? He's like a brown gay Muslim. It's like because he's got good takes, man. And he's interesting. You know, like, yeah, obviously I'm not pro-gay and pro-Islam, obviously. But he's got good takes. And he's pretty funny too. So yeah, it's like a big filter. A lot of the people that don't get the looks maxing, that only see like the most extreme version of it, not gonna make it, dude. Not gonna make it. If you it is weird how a lot of people are falling, I think, on the wrong side of this issue. A lot of it's jealousy. A lot of guys just don't get it. Jealousy, white knighting, simping. But a lot of guys just aren't smart enough to figure out what's going on here and why you should support this development. So I hate that other kid. Pariah and Milo desecrate the Eucharist by going to Latin Mass. Yeah, dude, that. Yeah. Degenerates. Fungal infection. How's the jawline? I don't know. You tell me. How's the jawline? How are we looking? How are we looking? The lighting is kind of doing me favors because it's like kind of down a little bit. You get that shadow that like makes it look a little more defined. Yeah, let me mute real quick. How are we looking? Remember to get your potassium. Okay, eat bananas. Big part in de-bloating. You want like a slimmer face. You know, you don't want to carry on all this like water weight and shit. Puffy face. Is you have a like off sodium to potassium ratio. People are eating too much sodium and they're not eating enough potassium. So eat bananas. Live on, oh, perfect timing. Discussing the end of the GOP after the 2026 midterms and the ongoing DHS government shutdown. All right, boys. Great show. Thank you. I'll get Clive is going to wind up looking like Michael Jackson when he's done with all of his plastic surgeries. I think a lot of that is a meme, to be honest. I don't think he was ever going to go to Turkey for limb lengthening surgery and shit. A lot of that was just rage bait. Seriously, a lot of that was just rage bait. A lot of people ate that up. Like, I don't think he got the double jaw surgery. He's not going to do that. He's playing a character, you understand. Yeah, I went live. I know I was a little late today. Hopefully I made up for it. Yeah. And I know I eat too much sodium and not enough potassium. Yeah, drink a lot of water. Get some potassium in. Eat your bananas. Take some potassium. Otherwise, you're going to be bloated all the time, Honestly, one banana is probably not enough depending on your sodium intake. But just in general, people eat way too much sodium, especially in the West with our diets and all that. John Line's good. Hair is hairy. That's good. Yeah, I got a new light. Got a new light that came in today. So, is that my vein right there? The light is hitting my vein. It's looking like I'm stressed, like I'm high. I don't know what's going on there. Maybe I gotta massage my temples or something. That was a GI soldier. Crazy. Here's the issue when you ask. So it's difficult with the Princess Leia headphones. That's why I took the headphones off. How are we looking? I gotta do some neck exercises today. The neck is one of the fastest growing muscles, or your neck muscles are some of the fastest growing. So definitely don't neglect your neck. It's not only is it good to have more strength and stability to support your head, but it definitely helps your masculinity. I think it's you want maybe 80% of the width of your head. You want it with your neck. So definitely do a few neck exercises. It doesn't take much to grow your neck at all. That's one of the most neglected muscle groups. I did get a haircut. Yeah. New week, new mellow. So, all about these vitamins. Yeah, I'm not an expert by any means. This is not medical advice, but, I've done some research. Every man 18 plus should be doing some of the fundamentals of looks maxing. 100%. 100%. You gotta lock the fuck in. If anything, you gotta represent the right wing as best as you can. Can you imagine Nick if he hit the gym, he looks maxed, he walks in the club, pshow, women are like, oh my gosh, throwing up fucking Romans just to get his attention. I'm kidding, of course, but it's a force multiplier. Elite human capital. You gotta be the best you can be. Okay, no mullet, yeah. Also, that drink alcohol depletes your potassium. I don't drink alcohol anyway. Pre-Mexican show starting. I know. I'm trying to wrap up here. I don't know how long his intro's. Okay, yeah, we'll wait till Credo. Yeah, alcohol's awful on the body. Yeah, I don't drink. Maybe I'll have a drink once every few months, but I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't do drugs other than ibuprofen, 2 months ago, you should be, dude, I was already fucking mewing. I've been mewing for years, okay? Wow, mewing? You're telling me now for the first time. I don't know what that, bruh. This is like 101 stuff. Oh, you're telling me now for the first time mewing? Oh, I didn't know that. Bro, who let bro in? Who let bro in? That's like the equivalent of somebody going, hey Nick, have you watched Europa: The Last Battle? Hey Nick, have you heard about the Kabod Lubovichers? That's like 101 ball, okay? That's like ball 101. How tall is Nick Fuentes? 5'9". Yeah. Nick is doing pull-ups, but he needs leg day. Lean max, legs are good, but they're not the most important. I mean, in terms of aesthetics, functionally, yeah, you want strong legs. I should probably, because I did deadlifts yesterday, and I think that and I don't necessarily recommend deadlifts. I mean, they're great exercise, but they're very easy to hurt yourself on. I love it when people, a lot of gym bros say, oh, you just got to have proper form. It's yeah, but if you fuck up your form, even for one rep, you could really hurt yourself on deadlifts. It's everybody I know has hurt themselves on deadlifts. So I've hurt myself on deadlifts. So it's a great workout, but you can hurt yourself. So that's why I don't really push heavy weight on deadlifts. Like I hit 3 plates and I'm like good, you know, 335 and I'm like, okay, I don't want to go any heavier. But I found that like the limiting factor have been like my quads on the deadlift. So I do need to work on that. So you don't look old enough to drink hardly? Damn. Glad you've never heard of mewing until you mentioned it. Shut up, Pippa. No, I've been mewing for fucking years. Are you kidding me? Oh my goodness. You guys think I don't know ball? You guys think I don't know ball? That's crazy. Ah. Go. Yeah, big show. Big show. Yeah. I really wish I had a fucking editor, man. I would like probably clip up this stream. It just takes like a lot of time and effort to do that because I gotta go through it all. But that's probably like the limiting factor for why. Like you have to like post content beyond the live stream if you really want to grow anything. And I'm just like, that's just like so difficult for me, man. I'm like, I really feel like, I know people joke about this all the time, like, oh, Nick is just like me, but I really do like empathize with a lot of Nick's struggle. Not like chronically late to everything, disorganized, you know, fucked up sleep schedules. Like I don't know. I like really do get it. People want, how is Nick late all the time? It's like, no, I get it. I understand. I'm like the same way. So, opening monologue. Yeah. I guess, yeah, that's probably what I'll do. Maybe I'll do that. Shorten your show time by an hour. Use that time to edit. Yeah. I just need to do it, man. Part of the problem that I have, during the show, we'll give you the timestamps to clip. Okay, yeah, that's good. Maybe I'll do that. Or if you guys could help me with that, that'd be good. Like, I do have like, I guess I am a little fickle. Like one of the reasons why I didn't go live the past few days was I just really felt kind of uninspired. Really up until like the weekend when this like collab stuff was happening. I just, you know, I need something to talk, like someone like Asmongold can go live every fucking day. And kind of like, sometimes I feel like I'm just repeating the same shit I've already talked about. Just new day, same shit kind of deal. And if I'm bored with it, then I know the content's going to be boring, you know? Yeah. Then you won't get any of your hot takes. Oh yeah. Yep. But yeah, at this point in time, I'm gonna be honest, I am kind of leaning more towards Replay Gang on Nick's show because just for the interest of time, I like my 1.5, 2x speed or whatever. I just kind of like that a little bit more. That's how you know you're like, your brain is cooked. Either like you're just operating on a higher frequency and you can take in information faster and that's why you like to listen to things at 2x speed, or your dopamine is just like receptors are so fucking fried you need to run it at 2x speed, otherwise it's too boring. It's like, you know, pick your poison. Either like I'm just a giga genius and, you know, I can just take in knowledge at twice the speed, or I'm just like told my brain is just fried, you know, and I've just brain rotted out and I can't focus on things, you know. It's I don't know. Yeah, the hippo takes. Clip all your clavicular takes. Yeah, maybe that's what I'll do. I'll clip it up. I can't do it when I watch Nick's show because I can't split my attention like that, but maybe I'll do it tonight. And I'll catch Nick's show tomorrow. So yeah. Dude, speaking it with you, was it Thursday? He didn't go live on Friday. I know it's like kind of like trite to or not trite. I mean, passe to like complain about super chats, but oh my fucking goodness. Do a gym blog, show your workout. Dude, I don't even want to be in the fucking gym. Let alone like be around people, let alone stream. And I would be mortified. I really like force myself to go to the gym, and I should go more than I do. Like I didn't go today. I'll probably do some cardio before I go to bed, which is not ideal because then you're like kind of spiking your cortisol when you want to be lowering your cortisol at night and like spiking or increasing your melatonin. You want to be winding down, not. But I do feel like I need to do some cardio today. You know, I think it'll make me feel good to get a good sweat in. But my workout's not complicated. Literally, my workout is, for the most part, it's literally just Athlete X's push-pull split for the most part. I like change the legs, but it's really, you don't need some complicated workout. Like literally, I pretty much do this series, push-pull. I haven't felt the need to really change it up too much. There's some things I could probably include. Some people really like incline bench. I don't really do that. I just, maybe I should actually. It's really good for working your pecs. I do like overhead presses and then I'll also do like, narrow grip, presses, or like what underhanded presses. A big thing about like workouts, if you don't like a specific workout, don't do it. I don't do squats because I don't like squats. I've got, deep hip sockets and not great mobility in my ankles. I could probably fix that, but I don't like the movement, so I don't do it. So I do leg press instead and, supplement it with other workouts. So if there's ever a workout you don't want to do, then don't do it. Find other workouts. Like some people don't do deadlifts. My friend who's way bigger than me, he doesn't do deadlifts. Well, he can't because he fucked up his back doing a deadlift and got surgery. If you fuck up your back, do not get surgery unless you absolutely need to. Like, that's like, trust me on that. Slip a disc, herniated disc, whatever. Do your best to avoid back surgery because it will be a never-ending series of surgeries and it doesn't really solve the problem. Trust me on that. If you ever fuck up your back, avoid surgery as much as you can. And that's just not coming from me. It's coming from other people. It's coming from, my dad. He's a doctor, radiologist. So he sees back injuries all the time. So just like, trust me on that. Really avoid surgery if you fuck up your back. Incline is good. You want the little cross on your chest. Yeah, no, like incline is good. Really good for building up your pec. I think it's your upper pecs. But you can do other exercises to hit the same muscle groups. As long as you're hitting those muscle groups. Incline is really good because it's like you're really isolating it. Like if you just like do the motion and you'll like really like you'll feel the squeeze. Doing. I'm not really doing it justice, but so incline bench is good, but if it's not like particular rocket science, you could just find a good split to do and then do it until maybe you want to mix things up, but you really don't have to get like crazy with it. You don't have to be doing all these different fucking workouts and shit, mixing it up every week, every other week. It's not rocket science. You just hit the muscle groups, you work till failure or near failure. You start with the big compound movements, right? Because those, you don't want to like try to do bench last after you do like biceps and triceps because those are going to limit your bench, So you want to hit the big movements first. If you're doing chest and benches on that day, you want to do bench first, and then you isolate, you go down. So any movement that requires like more muscles, you want to typically start with, and then you like work your way down and get more granular. You start with the big movements that's why you if you're doing deadlifts, you start with deadlifts, and then you can isolate other parts of your whole posterior chain, which is like your back through all the way down your legs. So walk backwards on the treadmill for a few minutes. What does that do for you? I see some people do that. But clip all the Wells Fargo. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. Incline is for Gorilla Chest. Harambe will bless you. Yeah. But like I said, I'm not like the biggest guy in the world. I'm not like a gym rat. There are definitely people that are bigger and maybe more knowledgeable. It's one of those things that's like, knowledge isn't going to lift the weight for you. You know, you just got to lift the fucking weight. Sometimes the biggest dudes, like, they just show up every day, you know, and they put in the work. There's no supplement for that. So just make sure you're getting in there. You know, you've got a decent plan, a decent split, and you're just putting in the work, you know, and you're going till failure. You're tuckering yourself out on all of that. There's no supplement for effort. There's no shortcut. So, but don't let all that hard work go to waste by like picking out after it. All right, we're getting creative. All right, boys. Nick needs to go to Wichita Falls, Texas, and see Ripito instead of going to Austin to see Alex Jones. Interesting. February 16th, Mello doesn't know what walking backwards does to the body. Okay. I mean, other than like the muscle groups, like, hey, you're just gonna gatekeep? You're gonna be vague. You're gonna vague post my own chat? That's crazy. June 16th, you've been walking backwards for years. Whatever, dude. Whatever. All right, I'll catch you guys later. Take it easy. 07. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. You know, do it. It helps the algo. And yeah, I'll catch you guys next time.